Yeah, you guys definitely should be clapping. We've got an outstanding panel. I know you're looking at the panel right now and you're like, where is everybody? What's going on? I got news for you. Everyone's on the way. But, I didn't want to keep the audience waiting. I don't like to keep the audience waiting. I want to take a few moments here while we do wait for everyone to kind of shuffle in. And I do have an experienced podcast with us tonight, so I'm very, very excited. But I want to say, guys, the Mooch mugs have arrived. They've arrived. So all the VIP Mooch Maniacs, guys, if you're listening to the show, do me a favor. If you're a VIP Mooch Maniac, get a hold of me at Mooch1978. Make sure I'm following you on Twitter, and I'll get your address. I'm going to be sending you guys out Mooch mugs. And listen, not just that, we have an entire Mooch merchandise link coming up in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be fantastic. Shout out to the great I Am Deadbird, the great Wayne, who may be listening to the show later. He lives in England. He's sleeping. It's late. But nonetheless, right above that description, guys, right above that description, you'll see the join button. If you don't mind joining the Mooch Maniac family members, it really means a lot. I want to start to give back to the Mooch Maniacs, whether it be shows that air a little bit before you guys, before we launch it on YouTube, or merchandise. Slowly but surely, we're going to be giving things back to you guys that have made so many things great on this channel. Let me just call these folks out one by one. The great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, Zombilla Ice Cream, CustodsX, Damion, JWE316, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, Mr. Twister, All-Round Gamer, TrueWiddy, Kn1ght Ripper7, Big Chuck 777, Wraith The Emperor, Alphonso Carter, Punkidish, BitCloud Gaming, the great BRAP, who will be joining us later, Mooch, our major Mooch Maniacs, pardon me. Sergeant Salty Nuts, our newest one. Fantastic name, by the way. Supreme Samurai, Slaying Chilean, Donnell Brown, Smokes 901, Tactical Gamer, That Guy Smitty, HumaCast, 4-Star General, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, which we better be playing some Warzone this weekend, buddy. VIP Mooch Maniacs. The Great Fork Boy Gaming is back. Sean Slopka, the Wise Old Gamer, Wendigo Rex, Bryant Carter, the Great Marty Bison, MexJ88, Remarkable Knights, the Great Percolator 9000, and our honorable mentions. Guys, there are some honorable mentions here. They've been Mooch Maniac family members for so long, and we miss them. The Great Rated D Demonic, Rich Kreiser, Ice Queen Gaming. We miss you guys. Where's Hustle and Motivate? Replicant, Ben Link, Death Scry, the Great Wilmy Hood, and the Forever Mooch Maniac, Longshot 316. We miss you guys. Come back and join the family. I see some fantastic people out there. Fantastic people out there in the chat. But before we go any further, let's introduce the guys that I have here with me, and the others are en route. Trust me, they all wrote me. They said, Mooch, I'm sorry I'm running late. It is what it is. It's Friday. It's the summertime. People are barbecuing. People are gaming. It is what it is. Shout out to Lady AF, by the way. It's in the chat. I see her out there. I see Hustle and Motivate. See a lot of great Mumble Ranting. Great to see all you guys here. Ice Queen Gaming is here as well. Guys, let me say this much. Do tweet it out. Hit that like button. We are going live right now, and here it is. Without further ado, it's hard to get the man here. But he might have. This is what he's saying. The best beard in podcasting. I can't comment on that. I shave every 3 days. It's just what I do. But the great HR Bomber is back from Gaming Beyond the Box. Bomber, welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you this evening?
Thank you, sir. No, I'm feeling good. Got my haircut did. Got my beard shaped up, so I'm looking fine as hell. But without a camera. That's all right, though. My beard's gonna look, it's going to look good through the radio waves. That's what I'm talking about. All the audio, baby.
Everybody knows that. They know how great Bomber looks. You guys all know this. It's great to
no, man, doing great. I know lately I've just been playing, honestly, just got stuck back into Cyberpunk again, because clearly I didn't know there was a whole bunch of hidden missions that I didn't find. So I'm continuously doing that with 96 hours into the game right now. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to bring that. I do have it as a topic. It's a different topic, not just to talk about Cyberpunk.
Right.
But I'm thinking I might want to finally start the game. I started it. It really didn't jive with me, but I think it's time for me to give it another shot. So Bomber, we're going to go to you for a little bit of that Cyberpunk later on in the show. And before I introduce our special guest, I want to say shout out to Lady Foxfire, outstanding Lady Foxfire, not only in the chat here, but also doing a lot of great things on her own YouTube channel. So Lady Foxfire, great to have you here. But let me introduce the one and only, the man himself, okay? And listen, I've been watching the man for years, and the fact that he comes on the show, just it's fantastic. I love to get his input. I love the way he does his videos. The great Dreamcast guy is back on the show. And guys, we've got him for more than 20 to 30 minutes. We have got him for the full 2 hours. DC, welcome back to Crossfire, buddy. How are you? And thank God you've returned.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be able to just sit down and talk games. But yes, chat's already hitting on it. Ooh, that's state of play. I'm glad we're going to be talking about that in depth because it just seems weird. Like after E3, it seems like everybody's really ramping up and they come out and show us non-combat space simulators.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. That's gonna be our first topic, DC. So go ahead and get ready. Make sure you're completely hydrated because you're the first one I'm going to. But before we even get to that, I got the great gaming Forte. Forte, I did not think we would have the great gaming Forte with us because he had a couple of Fridays off. And I know, okay, I'm not a gambling man. But when you roll the dice 3-4 times and he's like, I'm off, I can be there. You know one time you're going to roll. You're not going to get the lucky sevens. He's going to be working, but the great gaming Forte's here. Forte, welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you this evening?
I'm good, man. Not Animal Crossing. Monster Hunter was kicking my butt today. People looking for all these freaking amiibos. It's been it's pretty insane. And a lot of people asking about when they could pre-order this new system. So today's been a good day, and it's always good to be here on Crossfire.
Well, I appreciate that, Forte. Honestly, I do. And like I said, BRAP. We've got the great Worrywart that'll be joining us later in the show, and possibly a couple other pop-ins. So, guys, we do have a lot of people that are going to be coming here. Shout out to Slay and Chalet, and I see them out there. Great to see the Mooch Maniac family members, guys. Please do hit that join button, like button, subscribe button. Hit a button. You pick the button. It doesn't matter to me. But let's start with our first topic here. And DC, I said I was going to go to you first here, and the main reason is that I saw that you said that the state of play half sucked. And you know the thing. I watched your video, and I watched state of play, and you remember we've had this discussion in the past, so let me just bring up a bit of the past and then we'll get to yesterday. The past that I remember me and you having a discussion when it comes to state of play is a lot of times we say, let's keep state of play in mind. This is not their E3, it's not a showcase, it's them putting forth a game which they said they were going to put forth, which was Deathloop in this case, which was supposed to be the focal point. And then we saw some other games, a little bit more of each of the other games, and I saw a couple of real winners in that quick snippet that we got yesterday. But let me ask you first and foremost, because you did a great job of doing a half and half. What was the good, the bad, and the ugly as far as it comes to the PlayStation state of play yesterday?
I think the problem was a little bit of pacing and tone. Like, I think the games they showed, like, very few of these absolutely sucked. I think the problem was that it was just really weird to see Deathloop, which seems so fantastic and so polished and so freaking fun, and then putting it next to, like, two-man team indie games that seem like they don't even have a graphics engine completed. I don't know. It was weird to see those things right next to each other. But I'm glad we got to see more of Sifu, even if it did get delayed. That looks like a very, very good indie. It was just a weird mix of stuff. But I mean, and also I guess part of the thing is that there's so many games we keep expecting to see, like the GTA 5 updates. They keep teasing the fact that at some point we're going to see GTA 5 on PlayStation 5, and yet we're still not. And this could have been a good chance to say something about it. Like, it's weird, just the things they're silent on. And I know that they tempered our expectations. They said that God of War is not going to be there. They said straight up Horizon not going to be there. So I didn't even expect them, but it still just felt like a really, really weird 30 minutes of just completely disconnected content.
Okay, and that's interesting because when you say disconnected, I thought that when you stop and look at one of the things we critique all the time over and over again is the non-transparency that Sony doesn't portray. And I thought they did a really good job of coming out and saying this is going to be a third-party indie showcase with a feature of Deathloop. And I thought that the indies we saw, and let's not forget here, everybody has short-term memory. You know, DC, you do videos all the time. You know, everybody has short-term memory. We were just saying a few weeks ago that PlayStation has absolutely no love or respect for indies this generation. Here they do a show dedicated to indies, and now all of a sudden, they're the bad guys again. So what's your take on that?
Well, so my thing is that I'm glad they're giving indies a spotlight, but I feel like I wish, and somebody in chat said this, it would have been better if they advertised it specifically as just an indie showcase and then separately did, like, say, a director's cut showcase where they showed us Death Stranding director's cut, probably Last of Us director's cut, let's face it, that's going to exist, and then also showed Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. Like, I feel like it was just weird to see these no-budget games like Jet the Far Shore and then putting that right next to Lost Judgment, which I think genuinely looks like one of the best games of the year. It was weird. I'm glad these games are getting some attention, but I'm not going to buy them. Like, and that was part of my thing, is that it was these weird games that I'm super excited to see, like Deathloop getting a huge gameplay trailer, and even stuff like Like some of these games they showed, Tribes of Midgar, that their trailer for that completely won me over to the idea of Tribes of Midgar. But then putting it next to Arcadegeddon was just such a weird whiplash of yay, snooze, yay, snooze.
Yeah, and you know, I'll introduce and Forte. I'm going to give you the mic. I just want to say I want to introduce Worry Ward has joined. Worry, how's your mic doing?
How is it doing? You tell me.
I'm going to lower your volume just a bit, but I think that it's very good.
Okay, great.
Forte, go ahead and elaborate a bit on your take on what happened yesterday during the show.
Well, just mostly responding to what DC just said. I think the reason you see, look, let's be for real. When it comes to state of plays, there's two different ones. You're going to get the mosh pitch of what they basically gave us other day, or whatever day it was. It's so unremarkable. I don't even remember what day it was when I watched it. It was yesterday, I believe.
Yes, it was.
But the thing is, they have just their normal state of plays, like what was yesterday, and then they have their full tilt state of plays where it pretty much showcases nothing but Returnal or something but Ratchet and Clank. And it kind of seems like they try to, differentiate those two different things. Like, this is a game that we definitely want you to pay attention to. So we're going to make this state of play pretty much about just this, compared to what they did with Deathloop and everything else. It doesn't say that they don't show confidence in those games. I just think they look at it as like, these are our first party games. We're gonna like put some notice out there because we are doing marketing for these games and we want them to sell. But we don't care to the point where we're going to like blow it out and say we're going to spend a 30-minute state of play just talking about this one thing. But I do agree with him because I do think it was kind of this off-putting thing, like when you go from one game to the next game and then it seems like none of these games kind of felt like they belonged next to the one that they were shown before it. And then you show off Deathloop at the end. And for some people, we already seen enough Deathloop. I think, I really haven't paid that much attention to it over the course of the last year that they were talking about it. And the trailer they showed yesterday really got me excited for it. And there were some other games like Sifu. I think that's amazing. But when you look at the rest of the show compared to what they normally have been showing, especially when it comes to the state of plays they've been doing as of recently, this one just felt like, it seems like it kind of fell flat for a lot of people.
And I wonder why, though. I think what I'm hearing from DC, and I just heard you reiterate it in your own words, Forte, the one thing that I think people are getting tired of, I think they're getting tired of the format of these state of plays, right? You have that very monotone female voice, and I think that you need to have something else. There needs to be more than just that between breaks, between games. I think people want to have a little bit more excitement. And I honestly I don't know, I guess I thought this was just going to be another one of those, the way that the state of play was run for Ghost of Tsushima, where it was just Ghost of Tsushima. I thought we were going to just get Deathloop. So
That's
when
I thought we were going to get.
When I saw Lost Judgment, Fist, I saw, I saw all these other games coming out that you were saying as well. I thought that these were games I was like, wow, I didn't think that I was going to see this. And not only was I wowed by it, I want to play those games. So then I got my 10, 12 minutes.
Lost Judgment was the one that kind of stood out the most to me because I was like, I need to play Judgment. And I actually bought Judgment the day that I saw it on State of Play. I was like,
I bought it today. Yeah, I bought it today.
I bought it. It was $24. I said, let me buy this now. We only got a couple of months until Lost Judgment comes out because it got me really interested. But I think the thing always comes back to, how do you want to digest these state of plays? Do you want to digest them in a manner that you just said, like, oh, do you want to be surprised at what they're going to show? Because let's be for real, a lot of people, even though Sony came out and said it's going to basically be Deathloop, some third-party indies, and some other showcases from other third parties, they came out and told people what they were going to do. But a lot of people always hold hope, like, well, maybe they're going to surprise us with something. And then when you have a state of play, like you said, like Ghost of Tsushima, they had one for Horizon Forbidden West. They had one for Ratchet and Clank. Yeah. Those are the last three state of plays they had. So when you hear Deathloop is going to be one, but then you see other third parties, you're kind of expecting those third parties to kind of be up to the same level and caliber of not in gameplay, but the experience that the last few state of plays you had, because they kind of been knocking state of plays out of the park when it comes to the games that they've been announcing and showing off for the last 3 months. And this one just didn't hit. But I think that also has a lot to do with the fact that they really don't have anything to show us when it comes to like the other games that we kind of want to know. Like God of War is not ready to be shown, and there's other games like they're not ready to show off Final Fantasy 16. Not really show any of that stuff, and I think those are the type of games that people kind of were expecting as a third party to kind of go along with Deathloop, but we got pretty much the, like you said, the bottom of the barrel kind of indie games that a lot of people, even if you're interested, it was something that you wasn't expecting to see at this show.
Well, I mean, I actually was expecting, if I was just going to make an absolute guess, I kind of thought we might see something like Diablo 2 remastered or something.
Exactly.
You know,
something like that.
Stuff people were actually hyped about. Like my biggest thing, and some people got a little bit upset about me about this on Twitter and stuff, but my thought was that a lot of these trailers are things that should have just been tweets. Like a lot of these should have just been from the PlayStation account being like, hey, check out this weird 60 seconds of a space game. It feels weird to like hype people up and then come out here and bring them out here and then show like Tribes of Midgard. That deserves some attention. Moss 2, I actually think that's freaking awesome. Lost Judgment, like these games deserve attention. But then I'll be honest, that Fist game, the mech 2D thing, I don't know. I ain't care about that. And that seems so insignificant, like a little 2D game next to Lost Judgment, which is probably going to be like 100 hours of fun for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so much whiplash.
Well, and then I'm looking like a couple people in the chat, like Willie Ronald, he said, Mooch, isn't there supposed to be 2 more larger events before Christmas? And he might be right. But the thing is, we can only go, look, we can't, somebody said this on Twitter yesterday, I forget who actually wrote the article. They said, we really can't predict Sony anymore when it comes to what they're going to do and show. And I think that's the problem. Is like right now, we think they're going to have another great event, but we don't know what that event is going to be. We don't know when it's going to be. And as of right now, all we can go off of is what they've been showing us, because they did really good over the last 3 months. And this month, like I said, it wasn't terrible. I won't say it was like this D- thing, but it was like kind of middle of the road. And like I said, outside of Lost Judgment being shown, and Sifu being one of those games I was already interested in, and Deathloop showing great as it always does, that was kind of it. Everything else was kind of middle of the road.
Well, let me introduce BRAP and Crap have joined us as well. And I do want to get Worry's take, because Worry, you also did a video that was very similar to DC's, where you were not enthralled by your the Sony showing yesterday. So I do want to hear everyone's input. Go ahead, Worry, if you want.
I think for me, it was sort of maybe an unfair criticism, because I was waiting, and I know Sony wasn't at E3, but I think a lot of people were waiting for maybe Sony's answer to E3 and not being there. And there was a lot of talk about seeing gameplay from God of War, seeing some new Horizon, so things like that. So I was a bit underwhelmed. But now that I had some time to think about it, I think that it might have been a little bit unfair on my part to be expecting so much at this show. And I know they received a lot of criticism lately for not being indie focused. You remember when everybody was talking about they were going for AAA and they were going for nothing but surefire hits, and they weren't indie friendly anymore. So I think maybe they heard that and they tried to work that in there. Also, I heard somebody say that they were expecting to see Deathloop the way that they saw Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon. I think maybe because Microsoft picked up Bethesda and Arcane Studios, maybe they didn't want to highlight a studio with a great game that isn't owned by them now anymore. So that could be something, to look at too. But I think, it was a snooze fest. I really think that it was a snooze fest. There were some things that I liked. I liked the game that reminded me of Journey. What was that game where you're flying around and it's all about momentum?
Jets.
Yeah.
I thought of that as Journey too. Yeah.
So I love Journey, and I like games like that. So that stood out to me. And I think there was what was the game, Midgard? Was it Ghost of Midgard?
Tribes of Midgard.
Right. Tribes of Midgard looked really good to me too. So I think if you sort of step out of your bubble and expecting Sony's E3, I think it was an okay show. But again, Deathloop, obviously the highlight of their show was A, Deathloop, and B, hey, Microsoft just purchased a really great studio and look what they're able to do.
Right.
It was kind of strange,
Well, let me throw this curveball, this volleyball up in the air, and I want the panel to spike it down real quick. Okay, a lot of people have been saying over the past 24 hours, wow, what Worry just said. Wow, isn't that amazing how you've got a PlayStation timed exclusive, and it just shows the prowess and the strength of Arcane, right? The development team. But the same thing happened, but we didn't hear the same thing with the media as much in the social aspect online of like MLB The Show, right? Everybody was just excited that Xbox was getting MLB The Show. Nobody was saying, well, wow, that studio that Sony owns is just fantastic. It's the same thing, but you didn't quite hear that, and I'm hearing that a lot more on the Xbox side.
Well,
and that's fine. It's fine. I'm just an observation.
Microsoft hasn't really owned studios that were great. They've purchased a bunch of them recently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's why you haven't heard it.
And the other thing too is that MLB The Show has been synonymous with PlayStation for like a decade now. At that point, it's the only baseball game, like real baseball game, in my opinion, that's worth a damn. And so
let's also be
that's
real. It's also a baseball game. So
yeah, that's my biggest thought. It's a sports game.
It's a sports game. That's why
you could put a sports game on a cell phone, and I wouldn't care. I just don't care. Do whatever you want with them.
Well, Microsoft is putting sports games on cell phone, DC, so you can pick one up.
Oh, good. Yay. Hooray. That's my two favorite things, sports and cell phones.
And cloud gaming.
Cloud gaming.
Hey, look, you can play MLB The Show on cloud right now. And actually,
I've actually done that on my phone. It's actually pretty good.
I was gonna say,
MLB The Show.
Don't let nobody hear you say that too loud.
Well,
I enjoyed it, but it wouldn't be my my first choice to play that game.
I don't
but
think it would be anybody's first choice.
Yeah.
I'm saying the only baseball I'm playing is inside of a Yakuza game. Screw all that.
Nice.
Yeah. Only baseball I'm playing is in real life, but that's another conversation. When I'm rounding the bases, if you know what I mean, Dreamcast guy. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, right? Real base. I mean, come on, whammy. We got HR Bomber here. Come on.
This is great.
Yeah, right.
Why am I lost?
I just
we were bad euphemisms a couple weeks ago, just constantly just being like, if you know what I mean.
If you know exactly, right? No, I want to say something real quick. By the way, Mooch, happy to be here.
Thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate you guys making the show. Yes.
Speaking of baseball, sports, right?
Sports.
Maybe late. Yeah. But the interesting thing with Sony, I've seen this quite a bit with the community. People are kind of like disappointed, and and I could get that. Maybe this isn't like what you wanted to see per se, but the one thing I'll say is this: at least Sony, and I think someone said this. I was worried or Forte or maybe Dreamcast guy that said this, but some of the effect that there was that narrative early on about Sony not being maybe indie friendly anymore, and I think these state of plays kind of show that that's not the case anymore, or that's not the case, right? The other thing too is this concern about Sony, like, oh well, because I've seen this on social media where people kind of concerned about Sony, and where's Sony, and I'm worried and blah blah blah. I'm like, it's like being worried about Tom Brady not winning a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good example.
I'm always worried with Tom Brady not winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but are you really? I mean, the guy's still the fucking GOAT. I mean, Sony is the GOAT.
Until that man hangs up the curtain, he needs to keep winning.
Forte, but imagine this. If he doesn't win a Super Bowl every year, though, right? What is he doing? Going to the playoffs. He's winning.
That's
right.
Fine.
He's still making a shit ton of money. What's the matter?
It's so Sony, and I'm not saying Sony is the equivalent. Maybe they are the equivalent of Tom Brady at this point. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just saying. But I've seen that concern. It's like, why are we concerned? I mean, we obviously look, we're not seeing these, big new AAA announcements. I think a lot of that has to do with the pandemic, where studios are having challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like I'm not on that Sony concern. I'm not saying anyone on the panel is here, but what I've been seeing on social media is that some people are concerned that Sony didn't have an answer to Microsoft's E3.
There's your answer right there.
And what I'm thinking is they don't have to, because we kind of know what their studios are capable of, right? At least
and we know what a lot of them are also working on.
Yeah, and they're working on stuff that Sony hasn't announced yet, and they're going to announce it. But what I realize, but think about this too, Sony even not being out there at E3 and not being vocal out there and not being as present as some people want them to be, the PlayStation 5 is doing pretty damn well.
Well, it's funny. It's DC said it. Now, listen, it goes through my mind a few times as well. But shout out to 9 Lives, who's always in the chat, and he says Xbox is making all the right moves right now. Let's be real. That's all I ever hear. And listen, maybe it's just from the generation I grew up in, But like when I hear the same thing,
though, by the way,
well, it absolutely is. But
that's why I use the Tom. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's why I give the Tom Brady comparison. Imagine if the Giants start winning playoff games.
Right.
They're going to be the talk of the town, Mooch.
Absolutely. And that's I get your point there.
It's not as surprising as if Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl.
But I mean,
it's more surprising when he loses to the person that he loses to.
I see a lot of people saying like, I can't wait to play the Ascent. Right? I can't wait to play the Ascent. It's going to be great. Right?
Absolutely.
Looks great.
And that's fine. Don't get me wrong.
At least I hope it is.
Well, I don't disagree with you. But then, like, you know, in DC, I'll put you on the hot seat, DC, just because I'm very interested in your opinion on this. But you said, you know, I see a game like Fist, and you said, it didn't do it for me. And I'm like, well, and I'm not saying you like the Ascent. I'm just saying, how do games intrigue people on Xbox just because it's on Game Pass? And it's the Ascent. It's a 2D, you know, it's not a 2D. That's an over-the-top look down, right? But I'm just trying to say, but it's still in the same genre type of game, right? It's not a AAA blockbuster, and neither's Fist. But people see Fist and they go, you know, and it's just, you know, that's Sony's attempt. And it's like, but Xbox showed their majority of their briefing showed a lot of smaller indies. Everybody said, well, this is great.
Okay, I think you're trying. I'm sorry, DC, real quick. I think you're trying to make sense of like a rational argument.
Yes.
With fanboy logic, though. That's what you're having trouble understanding.
You have to think Idiocracy, see, and then you'll never be disappointed because a lot of times you can have the most logical explanation.
Crap, it has electrolytes.
Exactly. But you can't explain it away because Xbox has electrolytes, as what Xbox fanboys crave.
Yeah.
So as long as you have that, you'll never be right. But in all seriousness, okay, first of all, this is not a future of PlayStation thing. As long as it's going to be called a state of play, you know what to expect. They also set expectations beforehand by saying flat out, no Horizon, no God of War, no PlayStation VR 2, but stay tuned for the rest of the summer because we have more updates coming.
Right.
So they said that before the show even started. Second of all, I think there was pressure on it from the community rather than PlayStation themselves, since they already set expectations by saying what it was going to be. They said Deathloop and some indies and stuff, and that's what we got. So the fact that it came after Microsoft's, which, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's like any show that they did after Microsoft's show was going to be looked at with kind of that, you know, that kind of bubble. Like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? And that's not really fair, I think, to Sony. And the other thing I want to point out is the onus isn't on Sony, since they've actually delivered games so far throughout the PlayStation 5's history, right? Like, we know what's coming. The stuff that they announced last year was thought to be coming out between 12 and 18 months. But like, some stuff got pushed back because of COVID and things like that. I understand. But still, they didn't have to throw the kitchen sink at folks the way that Microsoft did with, you know, games, because Sony was leading up to the launch of the PS5, they were putting out Game of the Year winners on PS4 with Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. So, you know, Microsoft to this point hasn't released a first-party game this entire year yet. You know, know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
let me ask the question. Go ahead.
I just want to throw out real quick and say that. So here's the thing: is that definitely I agree in the fact that Sony is allowed to put out a bad state of play at this point. They're so freaking far ahead. The PlayStation 5 is absolutely freaking killing it, and every game that's coming to the PS5 is absolutely killing it. My thing is just judging the state of play on its own, and even comparing it to some of the indies that Microsoft shows. Let's just realize that both of these consoles, and you want to throw the Switch in there too, all these consoles are getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of indie games a year. So they have a very big pool of games they could have chosen from. And that's my thought, is that Microsoft is at least good at getting trailers for indies that look really, really fun. This was just weird because a lot of the indies they showed here just didn't look fun. And it's one of those things where I want to be like, why choose these? There's definitely other projects you could have shown. Why did you choose these? Because some of these, like Fist, which I don't mean to keep beating up on, I would have just cut that entirely. I would have cut Hunter's Arena entirely.
Hunter's Arena, I'm with you on that one. That one didn't score well.
I'm with you on Hunter's Arena, but I actually actually like Fist.
I thought
Fist.
I saw a lot of people talking about Fist. I'm not really an indie guy, but it's like, you know, here's the thing. People were saying how Sony doesn't do indies anymore and all this kind of stuff. So I agree with the point that it's good for them to go out there and show these. They basically have to, because you got Microsoft basically trying to go, we're the good guys showing indies, and Nintendo has Nintendies or whatever the hell they are. So you basically have to show indies at this point. Otherwise, you get shamed. It's like anything. You didn't get vaccinated? How fucking dare you? Let's get out of here. Let's whip him and chain him and throw him in the fucking bottom of the sea, right? Like, you can't be the guy that doesn't show indies, right? Because then you're fucking scum.
Yeah.
So they have to show indies, and Microsoft showed, like, I'm not an indie guy, so most indies look shit to me anyway. Like, the Microsoft indies look shit, and the Nintendo indies look shit, the Sony indies look shit. There's rarely stuff that I really want, except for, you know what? I'll say it, Moss 2, man. PlayStation VR, let's bring it, because that first game was amazing.
I like Moss 1. Moss 2, though, when I saw more of that, I don't like my PSVR headset. Now that I've played good VR, I put that headset on and I'm like, kill me. So
I thought that was going to be a plug into PSVR 2. To be honest with you, I thought that was going to be.
They're still coming out with PlayStation VR stuff.
They are.
Though. They've got quite a few very good games. I don't play any other VR. I only play console stuff, so I don't know about any other VR. But I hooked my PSVR up to my PS5, and it seems to work even better than before. I mean, I'm sure that there's obviously better. That's old technology, but. It still works for what I need it for, and it gets me excited for the next iteration.
Yep.
You know, just as a counterpoint, just as a counterpoint to crap, and just to sort of like put some steam under his bonnet, I do think it was interesting that the highlight of the show was a talented developer and a great-looking game that Microsoft now owns.
Well, I mean, listen, it just, to me, what I saw from that it wasn't very strange to me. Microsoft did what they always do. They can't make stuff on their own. They continue to buy it. Right, and thank goodness.
Come on, that's such a dumb argument. It just got bought.
Hey, listen, I understand the arguments, but listen, Microsoft
that's not fair though.
When has Microsoft ever built their own? But when has Microsoft ever built their own?
Same thing though.
When has Microsoft ever built their own?
2018
IP.
But Sony's done the same thing.
Sony didn't build Insomniac. Sony didn't make Insomniac.
But Insomniac games, Insomniac games, their games were like 85%. Their games were 85% exclusive to PlayStation.
Okay, but Sony also did. But Sony also didn't buy. Sony also didn't create Naughty Dog.
They didn't. Well, they didn't have to. Naughty Dog was already creating exclusive games for them.
Well, there was a ton of exclusives that Bethesda put on Xbox.
What I'm trying to say is, tell me one franchise, like one huge franchise that Microsoft has created from the ground up, like huge fucking franchise. Not Halo because they bought it, not Gears because they bought it.
No one has
hold
though.
on. But does it matter?
For sure.
Forza?
Why does it matter?
For sure.
Why
For
does it
sure.
matter? Why does it matter?
For sure. I think it matters because it shows that you can incubate and you have good leadership. Right, so the point that I'm going to make right here, the point that I'm going to make right here is going to be pretty huge. Look at Microsoft's first party that's under the first party umbrella, not Bethesda. They've already said Bethesda's doing their own thing, and I thank God for that. You know why? Because I wouldn't want to be under that other leadership. And why wouldn't I want to be under that other leadership? Because it looks like it's a fucking mess still. You've got announcements from 2019, Hellblade 2 and Everwild. Everwild's already been rebooted once, and both of those games look like they're going to be 2024. If they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Down.
Go ahead, Worry.
Can I just bring
when's Fable coming out? 2024?
Let me bring some sanity back here, okay? I don't know if anybody on the panel has ever played the PlayStation 2, but the majority of the games, the majority of the games that identified and hyped up the PlayStation 2 were third-party games.
Exactly.
During that generation.
Right. Yep.
So it is not about building games. It's not about building teams. It's about you have a platform that outsold everyone. So, of course, everyone is going to put their games there, and you're going to get better deals, and you're even going to get more exclusives. That doesn't mean that you have some magical formula to build studios and make them better than everyone else. They didn't build Insomniac. They didn't build Naughty Dog. They didn't build Sucker Punch. All of these studios made games for the PlayStation brand because they had more consoles sold, and there weren't the same amount of avenues like PC at the time, like cloud or like streaming or things like that. But Microsoft buying a great studio doesn't mean that somehow they're lesser than Sony because Sony built up these teams. They didn't do anything differently other than have relationships with these studios.
I think
I mean,
Sony has a great hidden talent. Like, I think one thing that I sort of 1% agree with Crap in that Sony has a unique talent, which is
I like you went 1%.
They take, well, because I feel like that argument's a little bit outdated, but I definitely agree in the fact that Sony has a talent for just combining great teams. They get somebody from this director, this programmer, they put people together. That's why I think it's smart that they bought that company Nixis.
Right.
Nixis is going to be making all their ports because they're smart and acquiring stuff. But yeah, it's just, I think they're great at that. But sometimes, yeah, when it comes to cultivating talent, I think we're going to see throughout PS5, I think we're going to see how much Xbox can actually stand up to PlayStation.
I think that's the one thing that PlayStation does the best is that talent works together. They work well together with each other.
And they've done it for years.
And nobody
they definitely know how to manage studios.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So if your
Leadership.
argument was, well, if your argument was based on that fact that they just know how to have those teams talk and communicate and work together in a seamless manner,
I'm 100% with you.
I'm 100% with you on that. But telling that the fact that they went out and spent money in order to make their platform viable, there's nothing wrong with that. That you got to do what you got to do in the end. You got to do what you got to do.
Doing it, they had to.
But there's nothing wrong. But you make it seem
like
it's a sin.
No, listen. Hey, shit. They hadn't. Like I said, they're almost 2 years without a AAA exclusive from the company. They had to do something. And
that's true.
They got Bethesda, because think about this. If they didn't pick up Bethesda when they did and only the other studios they got, next year would be a big fat fucking goose egg from Xbox's first party.
Well, I can't believe that. I can't believe that they didn't cultivate Tom Brady from the time he was an infant up until the time he played and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
clearly,
you gotta wonder, man.
Clearly, spending money to get him to play for the team exclusively was a bad idea.
I mean, let's be for real.
Cheating included, right?
Let's be for real. Tom Brady was 199 person drafted. If everybody saw this coming, he wouldn't have drafted.
I think it's fair to criticize Microsoft's,
management,
with first party and management, but look, it's a different Microsoft now. If we're being real, I mean,
we haven't seen their leadership yet. I mean, it remains to be seen. Until you can't celebrate. I see Xbox fanboys cultivate and celebrate Skyrim as a win for Xbox.
But you're talking about fanboyism, though. We're talking about reality.
Microsoft doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay, but those are fanboys, though, and the reality of the matter is that the Bethesda acquisition was huge for Microsoft. Like they are, I think when we look back, 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, we're gonna look back at the acquisition of ZeniMax Bethesda as the tipping point from Microsoft, where you have guys like Todd Howard and Pete Hines. They're gonna set the bar in a lot of ways, the way that maybe Naughty Dog does, the way that you hear about the internal.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, BRAP. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we did. The internal competition that exists in Sony. Where that bar is set so high, Bethesda's going to bring that bar. And look, not for nothing. I mean, some of these acquisitions already paid off. Look, Obsidian, they had the, I forgot the RPG that came out.
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds.
It was well received. There's a general consensus amongst, the media and people for the most part, that was a really good game. And so, they are heading in the right direction, right? Obviously, we can criticize them for things they've done in the past. That's fair. But I do think, though, that they are heading at least in the right direction. Now, can they manage, 25, 30 studios? That's a fair question.
Yeah.
Can they do it? There's some questions about product management there. I get that. But I do think, though, that at the very least, though, we can all probably agree that things are definitely much better for that platform.
I want to just touch on that point real quick. I think that I'm not trying to say that Xbox is all of a sudden going to supplant the PlayStation or Nintendo as the dominant choice for console gamers around the world. But I do think you'd be nuts not to think that they're doing extremely, extremely well compared to what they've done in the past. It's so much better. And it can't get worse.
Potential to be,
Yeah, their potential is huge.
It has every potential to be. But the question that I would ask Worry is, are we under the same Xbox? If Everwild wasn't prematurely announced in 2019, would that be a game we ever even heard about? Because it literally, they lost. They have to reboot that game. Like I doubt we would have.
I think you're worrying about.
To me,
You're worrying about things like these internal things. Like if you're a CEO, you'd worry about. Like,
why wouldn't you? Because of their past. I mean, they've canceled games multiple times, closed up studios.
Right, but if you're going to judge your enjoyment in the present based on disappointments in the past, you're never going to be happy.
Well, why would you trust that company when they've had that much problem in the past?
Yeah, but
right?
you're talking about
all
trust.
I'm saying.
But I'm not dating Microsoft.
I understand that you're not. But what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to make is, how is the trust there to go? Okay, they're going to do really good things right now when we haven't seen it yet. I say, hey, have an open mind to it for sure.
Because it's a gaming platform. It's not like you going out and having dinner with them every day.
So I think do you not judge them for what they've done in the past?
I think there's a way. There's a way to meet that. There's a happy.
Listen, guys. Okay, so we judge them by the present, which is no first-party releases this year yet, and no AAA exclusive in almost 2 years.
Let me ask you something, Crap. Let me ask you a question, Crap. Do you have an Xbox Series X or S in your house right now?
Yes, I do.
So you basically
why if you don't trust
it?
If you don't trust it, why do you have it?
I do content creation because we're talking about this. How can I talk about this if I don't have the platform?
But that's another thing. Yeah, you don't have to.
I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't. I would just be. I could just shut the fuck up about it. I would be zero talking about it right now in this podcast. If I didn't own it, I would not talk about it.
Yeah, you know,
I just don't understand worrying about something like.
Listen. It's not. The reason why you worry about it is because they haven't delivered yet. What I'm trying to say is, okay, they're going to deliver another Halo and another Forza. Okay, great. I'm sure those games will be fine. But without Bethesda, they wouldn't be delivering anything first party next year in the AAA space because the only two things
Bethesda.
But I know, and thank God. But again, if one of those games goes amiss. But Bethesda's doing their own leadership, though, Worry. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. They're not under the leadership umbrella of Xbox. They've already said, hey, they're kind of doing their own things. My worry is, when I look at PlayStation, I see a Yoshida who went and had the balls to go tell Sony Santa Monica, this God of War game sucks balls, redo it. Okay?
Right.
And then you look over the Xbox leadership, and somebody had the fucking gall to tell, them that Ninja Theory that Bleeding Edge was a go. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That's the difference, and that's leadership to me. Like, you have to have, you like give them freedom, but you also are trying to get games out that are going to actually appeal to people.
Yeah, I think that my thought is this: that I don't worry about it, but I'm curious to see how this actually plays out.
I'm very curious too, my friend.
This acquisition, I have a feeling that Halo's going to freaking rock. I have a feeling that Halo Infinite this year is going to be really good, but then I have a feeling that after that, they're going to probably push back a bunch of Bethesda projects. I have a feeling that a bunch of stuff is going to be coming, like we're going to get Halo and then nothing for a whole year, and then next holiday 2022 is going to be another like fire season for Microsoft. But I'm curious to see how that actually plays out, because let's face it, that's a hell of a gamble to be like, all right, you get one gigantic game a year. Like, let's see how much that moves hardware.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I'm glad you kind of brought that down, because I think Crap, Worry, and DC, and BRAP as well, the four of you guys that were kind of chiming in there all at once, each of you has a legitimate concern. And guys, by the way,
mosh pit, baby, I'm fucking moshing everybody.
Well, that's
watch
fine.
out.
All right, well, listen,
don't give a fuck.
This is why Mooch stays out of the mosh pit. I'm over in the concession stand.
That's why I'm sitting over here too.
I'm over there.
Red Bulls have you had today, sir?
I'm getting a 20-ounce beer. But listen, hear me out real quick.
I'm just embracing kind of being the bad guy, really.
That's all right. Exactly. Crap. I know you. I'm saying I think you have a legitimate concern, and I think that the other guys make a good point. Absolutely. Believe me, guys, Crap's not losing sleep over it. But my point being is that I think that when it comes down to it, and shout out to Willie who's in the chat here. William, I want to say his name properly here. He said something. He goes, why is it just because, and I'm paraphrasing, why is it just because Microsoft's doing a lot of things wrong right now? Is it necessarily that Sony's doing, Microsoft's doing a lot of things right, pardon me, that Sony's all of a sudden doing something wrong? That's the point I was trying to make early on in today's show, was just to trying to bring to the forefront.
You know what I noticed is
I don't think Sony's doing anything wrong either.
Sony's not really doing anything wrong, but they're doing Xbox-isms, right? Like, isn't it such an Xbox thing to fucking put your console upside down in a commercial?
Yes, that is.
That's literally, when you look at that, that's something that Xbox would do.
Well,
Right?
Xbox did do that and put a PlayStation controller in the person's hand. That
Yeah,
was
they put
hilarious.
a Horizon.
Exactly.
They put for a Horizon Zero Dawn in the background of a, you know what I mean, or you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that to me is an Xboxism. Like, so they did some Xboxisms, but it's like who cares? It's a commercial. Like, you guys realize when you watch people play games on TV or movies, they're not really playing a game.
Yep.
It's just playing. They're just pushing buttons. They don't.
Right.
There's nothing there.
Right now, you know, and
Did you see?
How do you expect actors or
Does-
whoever, like, they don't, you know, they're getting paid money to do something. It's not like,
Right.
you know, I mean, whoever
But
set that up should be,
it's the
you know,
director's.
whatever, but
it's the director's
yeah,
fault.
but
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
I saw some
I mean,
people
it's just
actually
stupidity.
when they showed the Switch OLED. I actually saw a few people on Twitter upset that they just showed trailer footage on the screens, and it's like you should expect them to actually give these actors a prototype game and film them play. Of course, it's just random bullshit.
No, I want to actually kind of just slightly segue to the right on this because I'm going to stay right on the state of play, but it's a topic that kind of blossomed because of state of play when we saw the whole thing go down with Death Stranding's director's cut. Myself, and I noticed nobody mentioned it, of course, and that's fine. I've played probably about 70% through the original PS4 version of Death Stranding. I personally liked it. Why I didn't finish it? I have that same story that many of you gamers have, right? I played the F out of it, but then I just got to a point where I picked another game up and I didn't go back to it. Me being that guy, I'm okay with that because I can't wait to get the director's cut and start over again. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the fact that the director's cut for people who own the PS4 version is going to be $10. And I don't know if you guys saw the line items, but there's quite a line item there of things you're getting with this director's cut. This isn't just you're getting 60 FPS, okay? You're getting a lot more. You're getting game, mission. There's a lot more weapons. There's this, there's that. There's a lot going on that you're getting with this $10 increase. And it sparked another conversation in the community about the difference between a $10 director's cut enhancement, if you will, for folks that already own the game versus the FPS boost or smaller enhancements that the Xbox gets seemingly for free. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I think it depends on your personal liking for the game. But do you guys think that Sony doing these director's cut is this a new way of saying, like, you know, a money grab or something like that? Or do you think that the $10 is definitely it's worthwhile? It's worthwhile to take out of your pocket, give to Sony, because these developers have been working their tail end off. It's a lot more content you're getting. And if you've never played the game before and you never owned the PS4 version, I believe it's $59.99. And
you could buy the digital
Yeah.
version of it, like on sale for $20, and then pay the $10 and get the whole version for $30. So I
I'd
don't know.
always
Like,
That's the
rather-
way to go. And that's
I
the
would
way to
always
go.
rather
Right.
have more content than a resolution bump.
that's
Yeah.
me too, Worry. Yes.
I would never
Yeah.
let me make this straight. I would never pay $10 for a resolution / frame rate bump. I would never do that. The fact of the matter is, people ask me what I'm paying the $10 for. I'm paying $10 for extra content, more missions, more bosses, more music. They're adding races. I mean, they've added a whole ton of shit to that. I mean, it looks like a completely
totally new
different game.
combat.
He
The
can
new
drop kick,
combat
but
looks
holy
nuts.
shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, look, I'm paying the $10 for that stuff. Like, the other stuff I would never pay money for. For a res boost, I wouldn't bother. You know, I honestly, I wouldn't bother. And it's the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima. I'm paying $30 not for res or frame rate or any of that bullshit. I'm paying $30 for a brand new piece of expansion content. That's what I'm paying money for.
Yeah,
I couldn't, you know.
Well, that stuff should probably hold its own, and the upgrades should go across the board and not behind.
Hold
the
its own.
paywall, though.
It's just it's just you're
I'm
paying.
saying.
I'm paying for the expansion. You can
Okay.
already play
Well, that's
Ghost
not
of
what people are
Tsushima.
complaining about.
You can
though.
already play Ghost of Tsushima on the PS5 at 60 frames.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And by the way, guys, I don't know
They
if
already gave a free update for that.
you guys don't realize it, but the executives at Redmond immediately, okay, this faster than a jet can possibly get him here. They got the Xbox defense lawyer here. They knew they needed him, the Xbox 448. It's great to have you here, buddy. And perfect timing for this conversation. But Crap's right on that, and you can go ahead and play that at 60 frames right now.
But buying the content, I don't think anybody has an issue with.
Mm-hmm.
It's putting the next gen upgrades behind that wall. I think that's what people are complaining about. When, you know, if the content is good enough to stand on its own,
Yes.
then just give the upgrades outright throughout there. Just, you know, have that as an update, and then if you want to buy in on the content, go ahead and buy in on the content. Like
they already offered the next gen upgrade, free upgrade
What,
for
it was
for
just
Ghost of
just an
Tsushima.
FPS, just a 60 frames per second.
I guess
So
I
they-
really
they
don't.
want-
I mean,
I really
like
don't
bells
understand
and
the
whistles or
argument, though,
anything like
because
that.
why
I don't
what other
understand the
bells
argument
and whistles
because
would you need?
if you're saying that it's $10, but it shouldn't be $10 because there's one part of it that should be smart delivered to you, like the resolution and frame rate, but the other part you'd pay for. So what are you arguing about? $5? So you want $5 off?
I'm being the voice here for the people who are upset. Like, I really don't care either way, to be really honest.
I don't think $10 is a lot for new content.
Yeah,
No,
and then
that's a month of Game Pass. Worry, how dare you?
Well, so I have a theory that right now Sony's been watching Nintendo, and something Nintendo's done over the course of the last 4 years is they keep dropping these gigantic games like Mario Kart and freaking Breath of the Wild, and they pretty much never go on sale.
Right.
They stay $60 forever. And if you've noticed, Sony has been extra slow to put Ghost of Tsushima on sale. They've been extra slow to do any sort of price drop or even hint at it for any of their exclusives. And I think what they're trying to do is, I think their idea now is to do a price drop after a year and then do a definitive edition to bump the price back up. That way they can keep people paying the highest amount possible. Now, to me, I don't love the idea of this. I'm glad we're getting extra content, but my biggest concern is I hope this is going to the developers. Because, I mean, I'm willing to pay stuff. I'm a big vote with your wallet kind of person, but I'm afraid that this is just going to Sony headquarters. I want to make sure this is going to fund sequels and more content and more freaking updates and stuff instead of just, disappearing.
I got a question here. I got a question real quick.
Go ahead.
The DualSense features are they putting that behind the paywall as well? Like,
yes, it does seem
Yes,
so.
Oh,
that's the number one
That is
thing
straight
I was
bullshit.
Look, I can, like, I know everybody's going to yell at
turn
me
your
about it.
DualSense and say, "Hey, it now supports it." You can't do that.
But to
with
me,
these
it's like
games.
you
Well,
bought
Larry
the
Hart said you couldn't-
bought a
That's a feature of
PS5.
the new
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys.
I mean,
That's
if they
bullshit,
would have
man.
just did the same exact
Hold
fucking
on.
controller
Guys.
and lowballed everybody.
I know
that
everybody.
Xbox did.
I know everybody
So
wants.
I-
Hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up. Hold up. Yo, Brap,
wait.
hold on. Wait, stop. Everybody
Yeah.
stop. Everybody on this show has been podcasting for years. Okay? Let's I listen, I love the Crossfire. I love the Crossfire, but in all honesty, I want to hear what each of you are saying. So if we could just Bomber, I'm going to get right? I mean, that's important too, because if it's just a lot of loud noise, it is the mosh pit. Bomber, go ahead and take the mic for a second, and then I want to hear what you guys have to say to rebuttal.
Yeah, it's just gonna be quick, and I know people are gonna jump down my throat, and it's fine. I don't have a PS5. I don't, so I don't know how the features feel, how all that stuff feels. However, to me, as a person that doesn't own a PS5, means I invest $500 in that system to have games that are gonna use what the new controller has, what that system has, and I paid $500 for, but to have to then pay another premium in DLC, which is like, I don't mind paying for DLC if it's a game I care. Like Ghost of Tsushima, love that game. If the DLC, just like Death Stranding, is only $10, absolutely, I pay that all day. But you're telling me I have to pay $20 extra so I can use the DualSense as it's intended.
Well,
and
so Bomber,
Technically,
now
it's
listen,
$30. Technically, it's $30.
right? I know the whole
So-
thing is $30.
Well, it's
but
not
what I'm
in-
saying is
But-
that like
well,
it's weird. Like, I understand it's a lot of content, and
So,
I guess that's
exactly.
why
Well, see,
they're
Bomber, that's it.
doing
So,
that.
so you're the last part of your comment is what holds water. It's not that the haptic feedback is behind a $10 paywall or $20 paywall. It's the fact that all of that content is behind the paywall. You could pick one out and wave the silly one and be like, "You're telling me this little thing?" Yeah, well, that little
It's
thing
a core
is with the
feature of
other.
PS5. Oh,
Well,
no.
But the game-
Here's an important.
But the
hold
game
on,
was
just give me
made on
2 seconds.
PS4,
Just
Bot.
give
But
me
go
2
ahead.
seconds.
And then I want to hear Brad.
Here's
Yeah.
an important point to remember. These games were not meant to be played on the PlayStation 5. So you're not.
That's what I'm saying. It's a
getting
PS4 game.
You're not
Right.
getting a core feature like you're supposed to have haptic feedback on the PlayStation 5, and you don't have it. These games were made on the PlayStation 4.
Right.
Now, if they release a PlayStation 5 only game and then charge you for haptic
Correct.
feedback, you have a point.
Correct.
But these games were not meant to be played on the DualSense. That's
okay,
the difference.
worry.
Worry.
I would hope that they were more consumer friendly than that. Like,
That's
when
fine.
it
That's
comes
fair.
down
That's
to-
Well,
fair.
I mean, listen,
But he's right.
here's
But he's right.
Hold on,
That's
2
not
seconds.
consistent.
Hold on.
Stuff like that behind a paywall
Hold
is
on.
ridiculous.
Hold on.
dude.
Stop-
Yeah,
stop
I
behind a
understand about the
paywall.
extra
No.
dev time and everything like that. But come on,
Go
bro.
ahead. Go ahead.
Seriously.
Worry.
Hold on. So if we're talking about consumer-friendly companies and we're taking shots at Sony, the entirety of the United States didn't take Sony to court for anti-consumer and monopolistic practices. They did that to Microsoft. So let's not take shots about anti-consumer for these corporations.
The entire
because not-
United States did, or
Yes,
Yes,
they did
I was in the
2001. Look it
courtroom.
up, my
It
friend.
smelled like Cheetos.
Right, look it up. So let's not take
DC.
shots at multi-trillion-dollar corporations about being consumer
That sounds
friendly.
like a
because neither of
whataboutism,
them-
in my opinion. It's
because
like, well, you're talking
neither
about
of
that,
them
but what
are.
about this? And
But you're doing that in the first
doesn't-
place.
That's
You,
exactly
but you do the same thing, Xbox.
How am I doing that when I'm
That's
talking
what you
about?
do.
You
Every
basically
actual
want
topic
everything to be
about
goddamn free and
Xbox.
handed to you
What-
the way that
what-
Microsoft does because Microsoft does it. But just because Microsoft does something one way doesn't mean it's wrong to do it another fucking
You
way.
have to be objective. You can't be just blinded by things, man. You can't.
I
I understand some of your
think
points,
We
but
have
most
this
of the
little
points
thing
you
here
my
called
opinion, I think
capitalism. If
it's
you don't fucking
ridiculous,
like
man.
it, then go someplace where there is no
okay,
capitalism.
so-
Can I-
Don't tell me to leave this
let me-
country,
let me
bro. You're
chime in,
talking
let me
about
chime in.
video games and
Well,
you're getting
no.
all huffy, man. That
Yeah,
is just
it's-
really
listen,
weird.
I'm just saying,
Let me-
you're really
it's
jumping
really
on
weird.
like, oh, it's like anti-consumer this and anti-consumer
Let me-
that.
let me-
You don't
let me-
have to buy any of
I-
this shit.
I
That's
said
the
one
thing.
time,
let me-
I wish
let
they
me
were a
try-
little more pro-consumer.
literally
Not
just about-
anti-consumer this,
Wait,
anti-consumer
wait,
All right,
wait,
listen,
wait,
guys,
wait,
hold on.
wait,
Let
wait,
Brap,
wait, wait,
Brap,
wait.
I'll give you the
Seriously.
mic.
Let me.
All right,
No,
guys,
it's
guys, hold
right
on.
here.
Can I
Hold
chime in real quick?
Yes, go ahead, bro.
Worry has an excellent point. Worry, your
course I
point
do.
is spot.
I'm
You're
great.
spot on. I talked to a developer.
I love myself.
Yeah,
You
I
have
talked
to.
And I talked to a developer about this, and the feedback was they didn't have a problem with Sony doing this for the reasons Worry just mentioned. That it does take time to implement haptic feedback. They have to spend money and resources to implement these features. They have to QA test this stuff. It's not a situation of, you know what, it doesn't cost us any money. We can just
Right.
implement it.
It would
It's a
make
matter of
sense to
turning
me if
on-
they released Returnal and then they said, "Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, in order to use haptic feedback, give us $10."
Yeah.
That would be
So-
ridiculous.
Yeah, so Worry is right. I mean, like a developer told me this. He's like, I don't have any issues with this because
A developer
this-
out of a whole,
you know
you
what,
talk to
Xbox-
a
He's
developer.
lying, I
It's
guess.
okay.
Xbox.
One developer
Xbox. No,
is
wait,
concrete.
Xbox, hold on,
bro.
wait, stop. That's very disingenuous that you say that because these people
Why?
work their
It
asses
sounds
off.
like a whataboutism to me.
Yeah, and you have no idea what the hell you're talking
No,
about.
I didn't
'Cause you
throw
don't-
it into
'cause
another thing. I
first
just
of all,
said
you
one
don't- no,
developer.
You don't develop games, and now you're trying to minimize what this developer said to suit your argument.
No,
It's
I'm
not
just
an
saying
argument.
that
No,
might not be
quiet,
the
be
that might
quiet.
not be
Look,
hold
the
on.
No,
majority out there,
you're
but
out of
you
place
to
here.
one developer.
No, you have
and
no
all
idea what you're
of a sudden
talking about.
it's the
You just be
gospel.
quiet.
Well,
You have
he's
no idea what
given
you're talking
he's
about.
given one
Don't tell me
example.
to be
I-
Brap,
Who do you
Brap.
think you are?
Yeah, I'm
Brad,
telling you.
Listen,
What
guys,
about it?
guys,
Yeah.
Xbox.
What
I'm
about
telling
this?
you.
Listen, how
Xbox,
about
you
that?
have
Xbox
no
man?
idea
has
what
a
you're
right.
talking about.
about that?
You're
Listen,
not a game
guys,
developer.
hear me out.
This comes
Hear me
from
out.
a game developer.
Go ahead, Brad. But Xbox
No,
can
what
Xbox
I'm
can
saying
speak his
is-
mind.
Tell me be quiet.
No,
man.
he
Yo, I'm not
can.
your
He
kid.
can.
Seriously.
No, you are acting like a kid because you keep interrupting.
No,
It's
you
like
are.
I got
Seriously.
I was talking first, Xbot. Like, are you like seriously? Like, I feel like I'm talking to my 2-year-old son right now.
I'm sorry. I
Like,
thought it
was
was
talking
Crossfire.
first.
Yo,
That's
people
it-
interrupt me
it-
every single
No,
weekend.
you
here.
interrupt people
Nobody
all
says
the
anything.
time, dude. You interrupt people
do
all
that
the time.
Guys,
every
listen.
single week
Get
to
back
me.
to the
Shut
point.
up.
Get back to the
Anything,
guys.
bro.
Shut
all right,
up.
listen. Let's do this. Give Brad, finish your point, and then I want to hear Xbox rebuttal. Go ahead.
No, my point is that like this is true. Like what this developer is saying, who's worked on these types of games, there's a lot of money and time that's invested in this,
Right.
and it just goes to what Worry was saying, and that's all I'm saying. Like it's not this anti-consumer
Mhm.
thing. It's the fact of the matter. This stuff takes money,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is developers shouldn't get paid for their hard
Hey,
work.
can I point something out too? I want to point something out because somebody mentioned something. I hope the developers get it. Maybe in a roundabout way they do, because a lot of development teams, once a game releases, there's a bunch of layoffs or people that are, you know what I mean.
Yep. They
So
give you a big
maybe
bump.
instead of laying them off, they have a subsect of people that are, start work on something else. You know what I mean? So I think that maybe in a roundabout way they work. Maybe they have a bonus set in there or something. To me, some of these games look the way they should have been, like on the PlayStation 5, and maybe it was because they were too ambitious last gen to begin with, and they look great and played great on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro anyway. But some of these games, in particular Death Stranding, looks like it should have been a PlayStation 5 game all along, right? Like another game that kind of reminds me that maybe it should have been in PlayStation 5 games, but even though we haven't got it, but it should have been, is maybe Days Gone, because that game really struggled.
Oh, yeah, true,
In a
yeah.
lot of
Right.
ways. So like,
Right.
a lot of this stuff. I remember when we saw Ghost of Tsushima, Mooch, at E3 for the first time, we thought that was a PS5,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes, we did.
everybody was like, "Holy shit!" So I get that point. Like they people should get paid for what they do. To put any of these things, and it's not like you can just pay for DualSense support and a res boost and you know what I'm saying. And I am 100% right. Anybody like Mooch, you'll back me up on this. isn't a game that you could have two exact equal games, one on Xbox Series X, one on PS5. Let's say frame rate, resolution, everything 100% fucking equal. But on the PlayStation 5 side, full DualSense support with haptic feedback and all the bells and whistles on that versus just regular controller on Xbox. Which one is the version you're going to go for?
No, I've answered this question a few times with an example, and one was Call of Duty Cold War. I actually had it on Xbox first, but I got so accustomed to enjoying the DualSense, and I have it. I think even people that in Bombers even said this, that one thing that he has, and he doesn't have a PS5, is that he would like to try the DualSense. It is definitely a next-gen feature, and that did lead me to buy the game twice. And
you know, but can I just push back against that to make crap now angry at me?
I'm not angry.
I just want to say, if having all those bells and whistles is a great feature to buy a game on the PlayStation over an Xbox, then what is Game Pass if that game is in Game Pass?
I think Game Pass is an incredible thing for a certain type of gamer.
If that game is in Game Pass and you're not getting all the bells and whistles with a controller, but you're getting it for essentially quote unquote free, wouldn't that be a feature that would drive people to get the game?
Are you saying like MLB The Show was free in Game Pass?
It wasn't free. You had to pay a subscription for it.
But you're saying it's included in Game Pass versus I know some people that bought it on PlayStation despite having Game Pass. If that's what you mean,
if your motivation is an exclusive feature on one console, there is an exclusive feature on the other console that may trump that, and that's getting the game essentially for. And I know it's not
a lower price, a
much lower price.
People might do that for sure.
Well, especially
for me, I guess if it comes down to the gameplay aspect or whatever, I've never looked at it that way. I always was like, you know, like where does it play? But I bought Mass Effect, for instance, on Xbox Series X because it gives me a 120 frames per second mode. Right? Like I didn't look at it as, oh shit, is it going to be free? Am I going to get? I looked at it and I said, if I play it via backwards compatibility on Xbox Series X, I can play it 120 frames. Like I didn't even think about it. Okay, like that's how I look at game stuff. It's not really as much as.
What if that game had haptic feedback on the PlayStation 5 and no 120 frames per second?
If it would have had haptic feedback, then I probably would have got it on PS5.
Okay.
All right. So
I just gotta be honest. If you haven't played with a DualSense controller, I suggest try it because then you'll see what I'm talking about. And Mooch will tell you. Like I don't know who else here has a PS5, but it literally is like probably the best feeling controller I've. And I know that people be like, that's cap or whatever. I think Xbox controller is fucking great. I love it. I think it's amazing. But I also think that when it comes to like a next gen controller, the DualSense is
it took the next step. Now the one thing I do want to just go back, I want to give Xbox the mic here, and I think Xbox. I'm not going to put words in BRAP's mouth. I think the one thing that I'll just put that I think is a common consensus, and I want to get your take on it, is a lot of times we keep hearing these things like you'll see something come out on a Monday morning, and Xbox, I know you'll see them too. It'll say something like, this dev came out, and the dev does a 5-tweet rant on why he's not paid attention to, and his team doesn't get the money, and this and that, and everyone's like, everyone grabs their pitchforks and knives, and they're like, we've got to help these devs, right? And then the absolute second, a dev's like, but I need to charge you $10 extra, and they're like, screw that dev! And you're like, wait, what are we doing here? Are we actually saying that we should support the devs when they do all this extra work and they ask for the $10? Or should we grab a pitchfork and knife and we should just go behind them and be like, the devs need to be heard. This is what they need. Which is it? Because it's really conflicting week to week. Go ahead, Xbox. And I think that may have been where it started.
Well, first off, like all I was trying to say before was, you talk to one dev. Like I'm not trying to like take anything away from that developer that you talk to, but what I was trying to say is there is no way of knowing that is the general consensus across the industry.
And I agree.
The majority
developers want to get paid for their work.
That's not what I'm saying. He was I talked to this dev and he absolutely agrees with it just because of that reason. And I'm like, okay, that's one dev out of how many in the industry?
Right, and that's why
all I'm saying.
And that's why when I saw that one dev, and DC, I know you're going to chime in because I know the individual I'm talking about. This one dev went off. It was either this week or the last week, and he went off on how they're not getting any play time. And he didn't say. He just said he was burning bridges. He didn't say it was PlayStation. He didn't say if it was Xbox. But he said I don't get any
platform X.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, he was referring to. Everyone took that he was referring to PlayStation, but maybe he wasn't.
He later on pretty much confirmed it. He retweeted people talking about PlayStation.
Right, and it's like
it was PlayStation.
But a lot of people were saying that's just business as usual. I mean, listen, I've had a lot of great ideas, but
BRAP, since he said that, BRAP should have been front and center with trying to support him on his whole series of tweets there, though.
Well, I'm sure
You know
he
what I'm
does
saying?
support him on getting a little bit more to get access and eyes on him. But to be honest with you, it's the product that speaks, and I think that's where crap was coming in with the capitalism, or maybe at least that's how I took it. Is that
Capitalism, good.
I've got a lot of great I've got a lot of great pictures, but NBC's not giving me a chance, if you know what I'm saying. So,
Oh, there, the
me
Mooch.
personally,
I know.
with all this, you talk about, well, the devs asking for $10 extra. First off, we don't know if it's the devs. The publishers are the ones that really
Fair
go
enough.
in with the money and all that good stuff.
Fair
And
enough.
Who published these games?
Well, it was
Sony.
Neon Doctrine. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought we were talking.
No,
about the
no, he's
sorry.
talking about the
Sony.
$10 upgrades would be Sony
sorry,
be the
yeah,
publisher.
Sony,
Sony,
Yes.
yeah, Sony.
All right, so those
Yeah.
they're the ones that are really kind of like in control of the whole money situation. So I understand. I want devs to get paid. I don't want anybody losing their job or anything
No,
like
absolutely
that.
not.
But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily their decision either. It's Sony's decision for that whole thing.
But when you're
Again,
owned by Sony, it's the same thing like when we just said earlier when Microsoft absorbs these other companies. When you're absorbed by Sony or Microsoft, Sony and Microsoft, if they make the decision to add the extra $10 or $20 or whatever it is, that's on them. The devs are still going to get paid. They've been absorbed by Microsoft or Sony. So Sucker Punch and all these other teams, they don't really care at that point. They don't have a say in that, and they don't care. They make the content, and then Sony makes the decision on whether or not it'll be a free upgrade or it'll be an add-on cost for that DLC. And that's the whole point of what we said. That's what's great about Bethesda being acquired and this, that. They don't have to worry about. That's the thing. We say one thing, and then a week later, someone else in the industry says something. We're like, well, he made a good point, but it's contradicted to what we just said the week before. And
By the
and
way,
it's-
I just talked to Dreamcast guy in the chat, and
Yes.
we're taking everyone out for ice cream after this show.
Well, that's great.
$10 for Jimmy's on your ice cream if you want.
Oh,
I want extra
jeez.
Jimmy's.
Wow.
Okay.
I want
Damn.
Jimmy's.
Wow.
No Jimmy's.
I
No
don't think.
Jimmy's.
I don't know if
I want-
half the staff
I want-
knows
I
what
want
Jimmy's
Dreamcast
are.
Guy, I want Dreamcast guy like Flim. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say a slim fitting T-shirt, but that's probably inappropriate.
All right.
Well, I mean,
You know,
listen,
I'll allow it.
if you think about it, there's always like arguments on, and then this is a talk show about gaming, so it's always going to be this way.
Right.
But there's always like a million different instances and things that you can compare, like, oh, well, they charge for this, or this company charged for that. It's like, it's kind of an ignorant thing to begin with. I mean, they're going to charge, these companies are going to charge what they charge, and people are going to speak with their wallets. If they want it, they can buy it. If they don't, then they don't have to buy it. For me, I like the idea of what they're doing. You know what I mean? I like the updated aspect. You know, I don't know. And again, you're getting new content. So it's like I saw somebody talk about Witcher 3 getting a free next-gen update, but they're not getting any extra story with that. They're getting a couple items or whatever, and
Yeah,
they're
let's
getting
be
a
honest,
res
Witcher
boost.
3, they can't really afford to add any more story to that. It's like a
No
$500
kidding.
game. Like,
I actually have that game. That's one. You know what? My brother Hellhammer
I hated that game.
He bought. I didn't really like Witcher 3 either, but he
Shame
bought
on you, worry.
he bought Cyberpunk digitally, and then like for the first time in 4 years, I got a game share game that popped up. I was like, what the hell? So I was like,
You were
I
amazed.
haven't played it, but yeah, I was like, God damn. And he's like, yeah, I bought it. There was a code or something for $20, and I was like, oh well, that's
So
cool.
I did
But,
fall. I fell way behind,
can I-
guys. Go ahead, Brap. Go ahead. But I did fall. I've fallen way behind on my super chats
All
here.
right. I just want to say
go ahead.
something real
Sure.
quick. I just want to
Please.
say thank God Worry Ward's here.
That's great to have
Why?
Worry Ward. The great Worry Ward is with us. It's fantastic. Why? Just because.
Because he's the voice of reason.
Well, that's
That
it.
sounds like a
I
what
think
about
after
ism.
He's an
Worry Ward, he's one of
he's
my
an-
newest subscribers, by the way.
He's
an
So,
Nintendo
I
how about
like
that?
brother.
Eric Jackson. Eric Jackson
He's-
also has that title. So be careful, Brap.
Well, he does have that title. Worry and Eric should do a podcast, and it would literally melt people's brains.
Just you know what they could call it?
Because
Common sense gaming. There you go. I don't
It'd be
even.
so
it would
I don't
be
even want the
common sense.
10%. I don't even want the 10%.
I thought it was going to
Um,
be called All Screaming, No Worries.
Yes.
I like it. The great Sir X-Man says Flight Simulator on my new
Sounds like
3060 PC is awesome. Brap. Shout out to Sir X, man. Carlos Crispin. Great to have Carlos back here. He says Sony's like Rockstar. They keep quiet for a long time until they're ready for a big announcement and makes the wait worth it. So, you know, Carlos, I kind of agree with what you're saying there, but at the same time, nowadays with social media and gaming being the same as politics and sports, where it's 365, 24/7, right? That's what it is. Gaming's 24/7, 365.
yeah.
I mean, we have news reports coming out on Christmas. Christmas! All right, that being said, listen, Glitzer says the consensus is the consensus is that the state of play was underwhelming. Was that anything specific that you all wanted to see? And, you know, Glitzer, I think we talked about this in DC, and I were talking about it before in Bomber as well, before the show started. I thought that Sony did a good job of saying what they were going to show. I think if you kind of went in knowing The reason is I set my
Pay to play,
expectation.
people. Like,
Oh, I said it exactly, Xbox. I set my expectation to mid, and when I saw Judgment Lost and I saw Fist, I even saw the extended version of what the Death Stranding director's cut. I thought it was actually it raised the bar for me a bit.
It was a fun show. It's
well,
a 30-minute
let's
show.
be real here. Sony
it was
Sony
alright.
is a victim of their own actions when it comes down to it, though, because usually when somebody else in the industry, whether it's Xbox, mostly Xbox, but even Nintendo at points in time, when they come out with something and they show something and everybody's talking about it, Sony's usually right there to come up with something major to kind of like say, hey, we're still here, guys. We're still here.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
With that whole thing, I think they are a victim of their own actions because they've done that so many times. People were expecting that their very next show, what they were going to come out with next, and I know they stated what they were going to show, but even to that point, actions speak louder than words. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, well, they're saying that, but they're gonna drop a bomb, baby.
Yeah.
Right.
And they never really did that.
It
So
was a
it's-
There are
play.
people like me who
Right.
don't have social media, so I had no idea that Sony said that the show was going to be indies and smaller titles,
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
Deathloop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's that. In that case, in that regard, Worry, then I completely could see where you came from and what your video was all about. I keep forgetting that because we spoke so many years on social media, and now we speak on only Discord. So it's true, but I mean, at the same time, that I completely would be in your camp at that point. One Typical says, just got the PS5 finally, got Valhalla and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Enjoy that.
Congratulations.
Wow.
You will
nice.
enjoy that. The great Marty
Yes.
Bison, Mooch Maniac family member, he says, wear that drinking mug at... I got it coming, Marty. It's coming. Trying to get drunk on the weekends. How you guys doing tonight, panel? Great to have the great Marty Bison here. Alvin says, if this was the same old Xbox leadership, then Halo would have come out last year and Everwild would have released as is.
They had nothing to release with Everwild. First of all, it was just a concept. Second of all, Halo probably would have released if it wasn't for like a huge outcry from people.
Yeah, that backlash was for the
The
best.
backlash,
Yes.
the backlash helped a lot.
They still released the
Halo
marketing stuff.
multiplayer looks fire, baby.
It does.
Or they could have released one side, like the multiplayer or whatever. Like I would like to say that they weren't above doing that is nonsense. They definitely were close.
I personally, as a gamer, not in terms of being a YouTuber and watching these companies and stuff, but if they came out with the multiplayer first, I would have no problem with that whatsoever, man.
I would, because I play the campaign. Just like that's what I'm
that's
excited
you.
for.
That's
Like,
that's that
Yeah.
But for the people that are looking at that multiplayer, and let's be real, they showed way more of the multiplayer than anything when it came to the story or whatnot, and it's got a lot of people hyped, and I there's a lot of Halo multiplayer people out there that would not have been upset if the multiplayer came out first, bro.
Dude,
Well, I
started
mean,
playing
I
Halo
don't wanna
because
see
of
a
that,
half a
'cause I
game
actually didn't
release.
care for Halo.
I mean,
So-
I'd jump in there. Well, and I'm sure they would call it like Halo first look or something, and they would have just dropped it. I actually still think they're going to do that. I think we're going to get the multiplayer like a month or two before the campaign comes out.
You think they're still going to
Jesus,
send
that
them?
would be a mess.
Wow,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
That,
Well,
that
so
would be a
I-
mess,
certainly
especially
my
after they're all.
theory-
I'm
My
a part of
theory is
Halo
they're gonna-
Flight. I'm hoping I get accepted to get into the multiplayer,
Well, the beta-
and test
so
it.
I have a
They
feeling that
better
what they're going to do, and I'm 100% on this theory. Y'all could write it down and make fun of me if I'm wrong, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to do like a big open beta for people who have Game Pass, and they're going to launch that in like September, October, something like that. And then I feel like they're just going to leave it up until the game is comes out and just have it as like a 2-month beta, air quotes. But it's going to basically just be a playable version to build up hype for the full release.
Oh,
that
like
actually
they
makes
would
sense.
Crackdown in the Halo 3.
Okay.
Oh,
How do they make
Oh,
that big
don't
money
mention
though?
Crackdown and Halo in the same sentence.
Hon-
Like,
please.
Honestly, I feel like they're going to do it just to sell consoles. I feel like there'll be something they'll do it on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and S, but I feel like it'll be something. I just have a feeling they're going to try and advertise
I
it.
still feel like they want to do a big release for it because I still think that they're going to go, this is the biggest Halo launch we've ever had, folks. We had 20 million people playing it. We made $950 million because
Well,
we
but
sold footies
they'll-
and
they'll
booties.
do
And,
that.
know this game's gonna have microtransactions. They can
Yeah,
do
they're
that.
gonna
yeah,
be-
but
They're
they
gonna be
usually
making-
announce the numbers. They even did it with Halo 5. They usually announce the numbers that they make. So that because they always like the next one's the bigger than the last, right?
Well,
So
they're gonna do that the same way they did with Sea
$500
of
million
Thieves.
it made. That's it.
Yeah,
They're
they
gonna do
will.
it the same way they did with Sea of Thieves, where they're
That
like,
wasn't
"Did
even
we
an
have 10
announcement.
million
That was kind
pirates
of
or
a
whatever?"
Yes,
Frank
they'll-
O'Donnell kind of was on Twitter and was like, "Hey, we did over 500 million."
500 million.
Well,
Yeah, that was more of a tweet.
So
than,
wait,
than
I'm
kind of an
I'm
announcement.
going in the wrong order here, and I will get to all the super chats. But just because we're talking about it, Monkey Power says here, for fun, will Halo make Game of the Year mentions? You think it'll get a nod?
No.
I hope so.
I
I mean,
hope
from
so.
what's come out this year, I feel like it would. If it hits on the right cylinders as it should.
By the
But
way,
then again,
the
but
Halo
what-
numbers
but what-
guys, wasn't just real quick, just to update.
Oh, yeah.
That was an Xbox Wire post where they said 450. They said, oh well, we did 45 million rec packs, $450 million over the week. They spent this amount of time in it or whatever. That's official Microsoft.
Yeah,
Xbox
no, but
Wire.
the over
No.
500 million was a backlash on Twitter from Frank O'Donnell.
No, he
so-
said. Well, no, Frank O'Donnell on NeoGAF said that they sold 5 million copies. But this is an
over 5
official.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right.
this,
I got
this
you, man.
is more
I
than
got it, I got it.
400. This is what I'm looking at, and I can link you guys if you want. It says this is official Xbox Wire from November 4, 2015. The Halo 5 launch is the biggest Xbox One exclusive to date, with more than 400 million in global sales of Halo 5 Guardians games and hardware. So they were pretty much counting the hardware and all that kind of stuff. 21 million hours of total gameplay, including 12 million hours in campaign mode alone. So yeah, I mean they really went all out. Like I think that I mean you can have some kind of
same
big
thing with Game Pass in a
I-
free-to-play version of the
I-
game.
I
where
think- yeah,
everything
well, of
you
course,
pay for-
I fully said I expect this thing to set all records for players, but the interesting thing will be to check back in 3-6 months and see
Yeah.
where they're at, because there's so much people like BR with their BR, and not having a BR
Right.
mode could definitely I think it's
Well,
going to
and
start off hot. I
remember
think
that-
yeah, for sure.
One of the most viewed games from E3 was Battlefield, so I do think that Battlefield. I think I haven't been giving it enough credit. I think that's going to really burn
Shame
up
on
the
you.
charts this year.
Yeah,
The only game that's going to take me off of Halo is Battlefield.
yeah. No, Battlefield's
I
going to
see
be
a lot
bigger.
of people talking about that Battlefield. They don't
Yeah.
mind paying that 70 for that on Xbox.
No, that's
ain't
fine.
looking-
I don't mind paying.
I ain't looking at that
120
game
to
at
get
all.
it.
I
I
ain't
bought the
I
highest end
ain't
version
gonna
you
even
can
pay
buy.
$1 for that.
We'll pay.
shit.
We'll
Nope.
pay. We'll pay $70 for that Call of Duty, FIFA,
Nope.
NBA 2K.
Hey, I always tell people if it's a game you really want, you're gonna buy it.
Well, that's
no
the thing. I
matter
see a lot of people in the chat every week.
$10 extra for
They bring up-
some better graphics and frame rates? How
Absolutely.
dare you?
what. I ain't got nothing to do. No, I ain't paying extra for that. Man.
Hey, I'm paying $60 for Skyward Sword, so I might as well just shut up now, right?
Exactly.
Hey, it's more for Skyward
So-
Sword now than it was on the Wii initially. Jeez.
I know.
Quick
Hey, I
killings.
still got a
This
Wii
is-
collection of games, man. Like GameStop always hounds me.
is-
They're like, you can trade in this Mario game for the Wii that you bought from us and we'll give you $30 credit. I'm like, $30 credit? Damn.
Well,
You
this
know?
is funny that one of this the super chat actually goes right along with this. Quick Killing says $10 for the upgrade tells you what Sony really thinks of Death Stranding compared to what upgrading Ghost costs. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily Quick saying
Well,
that
Ghost
like
is giving you way more stuff for
Yeah.
a bigger upgrade.
Hopefully.
Right.
We
So,
we don't know for
Yeah,
sure.
We don't know for sure, but from what if you put the two next to each other, it
Mm-hmm.
seems like Ghost is more substantial.
this is true.
I
TrueWiddy
want to
here
do some
says
some fucking races. They added a whole racing game into Death
Well,
Stranding.
that's why Gran Turismo got delayed because they
oh, there it
they added
is.
a racing game to Death Stranding, and that's all we need.
So
Forza
True.
Horizon's in trouble, right?
Oh, right, exactly.
I don't know
So-
about that.
So, but the question, going
Go
back
ahead,
to
Forte.
going back to that last thing, I think the thing that a lot of people kind of just miss on the whole scenario with this whole, $10 upgrade is for me, I don't care ultimately, because if it's for the content you should pay for.
Mhm.
I just think there's a lot of people, especially now that we're in a new generation. This is the first generation where pretty much everything can go forward with you, from console to PC to everything. And we kind of seen this be like a moniker of PC for so long, where you buy it one time and you can get, updates on that stuff for free, no matter what they do and everything. And Xbox kind of went in that direction with it. We don't know what Nintendo's going to do, because we haven't got a reiteration of the cartridge base of what they're doing now. Maybe the next version of the Switch will do the same thing. PlayStation is kind of doing something a little bit different. It's their mantra to do it if they want to do it that way. But there's also been games that released on their platform that haven't done that, like Final Fantasy. They literally gave you the upgrade for PS5 for free, and you just paid for the actual content, which was Yuffie and everything. And I think that's kind of the direction they want Sony to go in when it comes to that. It doesn't mean they have to do it. It's just kind of, when you look at it across the whole industry, it seems like frame rate and resolution should kind of be its own thing that you get just by having the platform. I have more power. I should be able to take advantage of that power if that game is available to be played on that system. And that's something that PC has. That's something that, and Xbox does the groundwork for developers on the back end themselves for that. Developers don't have to do that. That's something that they do to make those games through FPS Boost and everything work the way that they work. Like I said, it doesn't mean Sony has to do it, but I just think when you look at the lay of the land, and when it comes to resolution and frame rate, and I know some people keep saying like, well, they're giving you more than just that. No, I agree. I understand that. But the fact that they're tying that part into the upgrade along with everything else is saying, well, if you want this, you have to get this. Well, some people may not want that. They might just say, hey, maybe I'm just jumping into the game for the first time on PS5 and I have a PS4 version of it and I was able to get it from a friend or something, and maybe I want to see what it plays like on the PS5, and if I want to buy that extra content, maybe I'll do it.
Yep.
And I think for releasing the free 60 frame update on Ghost of Tsushima then, huh?
Well, it's just Ghost of Tsushima is like the anomaly here because they did give you that, and I'm not.
They did that with Last of Us 2 as well.
And that's why I never argued about That's why you never see me tweet about Ghost of Tsushima or anything when it came to the end of that, because they gave you an update to that. But when it comes to like, and I'm also, when it comes to like the DualSense, I think that is a little bit different. I do agree that you did buy the system, but some work did have to go into that to make that controller work on those games, because it natively didn't work. But my whole thing always comes back to, if it's a game in resolution and frame rate, I paid $500 to have a better experience when it comes to that. That shouldn't be tied to the fact that I have to buy your update in order for that to be a benefit of a system I already bought. I think if they did that, then a lot of this stuff would go by the wayside. But until that changes and everybody else continues to keep saying, here's a free update for this and free update for that, sooner or later they're going to have to make a stand, and they're going to either change that or people are going to make decisions.
Well, I think Forte, I think there's already a line in the sand. The line in the sand right now is if it's just a 60 frame or it's just an FPS boost, that's a free upgrade. What you're seeing with these director's cuts is you're getting a lot more. You're getting content.
That's because Sony decided to just say this is the only way you can get this stuff, though. They're not. But outside of a few games, like outside of Ghost of Tsushima, that's the only one where they pretty much said the 60 frames is already there. We're going to charge you for all the other stuff.
What about The Last of Us?
But Forte, you can't.
Last of Us 2 is 60 frames. Upgrade.
Yeah, Forte, I'm not saying you're downplaying that feature set, but they are giving more.
Well, no, I'm not downplaying the features.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're doing that.
If you want to charge me for the DualSense, the haptic feedback and everything, that's fine. Because that wasn't the game. But see, if I put any game into my PC, it's gonna run better without anything. That's the whole, anything they add to the game. This is the thing. Anything you add,
you're making an argument why. Forte, you're making an argument for why PC is the best platform to play video games.
Okay, but we're also talking about
another. You and I know that, Forte.
No, but we're also talking about another platform that does the same exact thing, but they only charge you for DLC. They don't charge you for the resolution and frame rate bump. Well, so there's two platforms out there that do that.
Before there's graphical upgrades as well. We
also understand, like this is the thing that's kind of intriguing to me. Like, different business models aren't new to other various consumer products, right? And it's really interesting for me to see people argue over things that they probably do with other products on a consistent basis, right? You go to McDonald's. This is probably a bad food analogy, Mooch. I don't do it as well as you.
It's all right, buddy.
But
You
already started. He already started off in the wrong.
when he said go to McDonald's.
yeah, I mean,
You already
McDonald's, right?
started off on the wrong foot.
But look, if you want larger fries, you got to pay for that. You know what I mean? You want the larger Coke, you got to pay for that, right? I mean, so there's upgrades.
That is
there's
definitely a terrible
That
analogy.
is the worst analogy.
Okay, maybe it is, but you buy a DVD of Pirates of the Caribbean, the 4K version
You
comes
do
out.
realize that McDonald's gives you the same size drink for the same size dollar. You just pick what you want.
No, they would charge me here.
They don't charge you. They it's literally on
Any
their
size-
menu.
any
Any
size
size
drink is a
drink for
dollar.
$1. Any
Yeah.
size
You
drink is
know what's
$1.
funny about this analogy is you actually started arguing about it.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's a bad
Go ahead,
analogy.
work
Sorry, it's
it.
a bad analogy word. But like I said, with like other consumer, like like with DVDs, you own Pirates of the Caribbean, you get it on DVD. You don't get the free upgrade for the 4K, right? You don't get that,
No, you buy the
So,
4K version.
You
off
buy the
rip,
4K
but it
version,
does-
exactly.
But if you put it in a DVD,
How many
player,
times
it
has
still works.
everybody
This
rebought?
analogy is just a fucking train
Yeah,
wreck.
it's
I
losing
know,
its steam.
yeah.
Well, hold
I
on.
agree with you.
So wait, so
Analogies
listen, I got a
don't work.
couple super chats here, and I have two more subjects I want to get to with everybody here. TrueWiddy says Nintendo gave you OLED for $50 more, so $10 is nothing. He's saying TrueWiddy's looking at the he's just looking at the dollar
I
value.
know, I would pay $350 for a fucking
He's looking at the
console
bright
that's
side.
playing cartoon games. I can't wait.
Right.
You're
right.
insane.
Hey,
whoa.
you
No achievement system shit
You're
online with friends.
crazy.
Well, the
code.
game storage as well,
Crazy.
man.
There's nothing
64
wrong with
gigs.
it.
60. God damn. Hey, how about give me a better way to play that shit on my TV like nature intended, huh?
All right, you know what, Mooch? I'm gonna leave the food analogies to you. by the way.
I got it, Brad.
The best handheld game console of all
No,
time.
This
But no,
man
like
yelling
I
about hating video games on a video game
But like-
podcast.
I know, it's amazing.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, but like I said,
He's very
ultimately, I
specific,
think-
DC.
Yeah, but like I said, ultimately that's what I think I don't really, like I said, whatever Sony decides to really truly want to do around this, if people are willing to support it, then they're going to keep doing that. That's just how capitalism
Well,
is.
you gotta remember something.
No, I just, like I said, it just ultimately comes
Are
down
you interrupting
to,
people? Look at that.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
capitalism.
No,
Tell him,
ultimately-
Xbox. Tell him.
Capitalism.
Yeah, like I said, ultimately just comes down to performance should be something completely separate that you are not paying for. Everything else, if they want to say we still want to charge you $30 for all this extra stuff that we're giving you, then fine. But at least give people the option to just say, hey, I have a PS5.
Yes.
Give me the frame rate, give me the resolution bump, give me all that stuff. But if you want me to have DualSense support, then yes, that has to be tied into me buying all the extra stuff for the PS5. But don't lock people out of the fact that our games run and play better. And I think if they did that, then nobody would be complaining, honestly.
Yeah, no, I
think
hear that.
Mostly for the majority of people that are complaining are Xbox people, though.
Well, no, because
That's-
PlayStation
I mean, I've seen
people
some-
complain.
I've seen some
I
PlayStation
see-
fans.
Some are.
Yeah,
But-
they
but-
all
but-
complain. Everybody
I haven't
complains.
seen it. I haven't really
But
seen it. I follow a lot of PlayStation.
You know what's interesting is that I hear people say this, and it's like at the end of the day, the consumer market's going to dictate whether or not this stuff's sustainable. And right now,
That's right.
you look at Ghost of Tsushima.
It's number one on the best-selling list.
Yeah, it's number one because and these companies, they're not doing this stuff without running analytics. It's very data driven. It's not that they just sit in a room per se.
Yeah, they're not like,
and say,
let's try this out tomorrow.
Let's just try it out.
Yeah, we'll see what
And
happens.
Sometimes the
Doesn't
data
work
is
that way.
wrong because that happens, you
Right.
know. But sometimes the data is right, you know. when
I
they run
like your
these
point,
numbers.
BRAP. I really do
Well,
like that
in,
point.
In the long run, though, because you heard Forte talking about the PC and how that just generally gets the updates and stuff like that. You don't have to pay more. And obviously, when it comes to Xbox, the
Well, you
people
don't pay
that
more
are
at
running
PC because
the
of different
people-
hardware. That's
the
why.
people that are running Xbox as well, they are inherently PC gamers, and they're taking some of that and bringing it into the console space. So it's going to be interesting to see moving into the future, kind of like which wins out in terms of the community, because you can only do this so many
disagree.
times.
I don't think it's a matter of wins or losses. I think that the market's so big now. It's it's bigger than movies. It's $1 billion industry. It's going to grow 40% more. You're going to see multiple.
Everybody's eating right now.
Yeah,
Exactly,
everyone's eating.
Forte.
You're going to see, and this is the issue I kind of have with people in the community. They think that one model is better than the other. It's a matter of wins or losses. This is not sports. It's not Tom Brady. Even though Tom Brady
Brady's
is the
better,
GOAT.
you're right.
Rob, remember that because I believe in many past like crossfires and stuff like that. You were concerned about Xbox because they were losing.
That sounds like a whataboutism.
Damn. All right. Well, I mean,
what
they
about
are.
them? No, but you know what though? I was concerned about the lack of competitiveness.
They got you painted in the
Selfishly
corner right
speaking,
now.
like we all benefit if these companies as gamers are firing on all cylinders, right? We all do.
Yes.
And so what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, the market's going to grow so big. I think that various business models. I think Nintendo is the example of this. Nintendo doesn't have this robust online system. They don't have an Xbox Live. They don't have a PlayStation Now. They don't have an Xbox Game Pass. But you know what Nintendo's doing right now?
And they're still outselling.
Can we get off this freaking Xbox topic and talk about Nintendo and how
Yes,
great
let's do
and
it.
how great
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It was a segue. It was a segue, Forte.
Yeah, how great they doing they consumers right now. Can we talk
I
about
want to
that?
hear.
Go ahead. Let's switch over. That's
I
fine.
want to hear Dreamcast guy's going to buy the OLED version day one.
I'm buying it day one.
I'm a
baby.
dumb bitch.
Yeah, I'm buying mine day one too.
So wait a minute. So
I'm
let
gonna
me
buy it,
ask.
and I'm never gonna use it.
Let me ask this
I'm never
question.
gonna use that.
Mooch, you got 3 people on the panel who are gonna buy the new Switch day one. Bro.
Well, let me say this. So
one.
wait. So guys, before we listen, that's fine. I think that we have to go back to Moochonomics here real quick, though, right? Because you guys. And let me ask.
Oh, you already know why I'm buying in Mooch. You
Forte.
I'm a
already
big fan of
know what we do,
muchomoism.
right? You already know what I'm doing.
Listen, it works all the time, or at least 60% of the time. But Forte,
Oh my God, look at
you
that.
know for a
47%
fact,
of the time.
right?
60% of the time, all the time.
Forte, how
Yes.
much are we going to get for our? I have a docked Switch. I have the Switch Lite as well, but I'm going to keep the Switch Lite. The docked Switch that I currently have, my day one, which is in pristine condition. What would you say that the trade-in value would be for that?
Version 1 is 175. Version 2 is 200.
Okay, so
Hey, that ain't too
175.
bad.
All right, so that's what I'm trying to say here. You're already looking at
And
just
that's- and
what
that's if they don't- and that's
$175 to get another upgrade on the 4K. So not 4K, pardon me, the OLED. So what do you guys think now? I'll start with DC. DC, you did a video on it, and I know you got what else is new, right? You do a video, you get a lot of shit for it. But the thing about the matter is
get a
that's
lot of
YouTube.
shit.
That's YouTube. That's what you do. But Dreamcast, what was the reason that when you saw this, you were like, you know what? I can see myself picking this thing up.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, and I get shit. I don't even notice it. It's one of those things where there's
You're
a couple
good at that,
dislikes
by
on
the
a
way.
video. Who cares?
You are
Yeah,
great
but
at that.
I guess my thought was that I'm picking this up because I'm curious to see how good the new quality screen is. I want to see it for myself, that little bit of extra size. But I will admit that I'm definitely still a little bit disappointed that this isn't more powerful or going to have better frame rate or doesn't have any actual technological upgrades
Is it
to
still
it. I mean,
720p on the handheld? Or is it a 1080p boost?
I think it has to be. I think the way it works, like it's just still built to run at 720 in handheld. My other thought though is that it's weird that this is $350. Like the parts inside the Nintendo Switch keep getting cheaper. Like Nintendo's profit keeps going up and up and up and up, and yet they're not doing any price drops. So the fact that this is actually going up in price, 100%. I thought this thing was going to be $300, and the other ones were going to drop to $250. Like it feels weird that this thing is literally more expensive.
It's so they don't have to
nuts.
drop the price of the original Switch,
Yeah.
man. They
Does
just
it have-
made it $50 more expensive.
Does it have a better battery life? That's what Ryan Landis is
no,
asking.
same battery.
Nope.
Same
Same
shitty
battery.
drifting Joy-Cons.
Dude,
Same
it's
everything.
Just to be clear, this
They have double
talked
the
about-
game storage though. It is 64 gigs
Holy
instead of 32
shit.
gigs.
And it cost them
64?
2 cents to upgrade that. crap.
64
most-
gigs.
Jeez.
God
most
damn, welcome to
people-
1999, folks.
It's not like
Man.
it's not like it's groundbreaking internal storage. Like, come on, guys.
Well,
Yeah.
most
Let
people
me
have
know
more
when I can- let me know
storage
when I
is
can
already
really
got it
talk
in
to
the SD
Nintendo.
card.
I
So-
don't think the new Switch is aimed at people who already have a Switch though.
The problem
it
is,
It is.
they
It
have-
It is.
It definitely
They
is.
I mean,
haven't really-
if you have a problem if you buy it and you
They
had
have-
a Switch. You
they-
know.
They haven't.
Some of the
This
Nintendo
is like
cultists.
the second time they've adjusted the hardware, and the second time they've adjusted the hardware strictly for handheld users, right? Like, there's a group out there that's actually
Tells
larger.
you
I
what
think
they think of it. They think of it as a handheld, bro.
Yeah,
Like
but if you-
everybody got mad at me.
If
so
you look
mad.
if you look at the facts, and Nintendo officially admitted that more people play their Nintendos docked than undocked. So you would think that they would come out with something. I mean, it's just terrible looking thing when you die. It's like awful. Like
Well,
come
but
out with something for, you know,
85 million units sold.
Well,
yeah.
so and additionally,
listen, the Wii sold a shit ton too, but
you're
people were
Mr. Sales though. You're upset at
people-
Microsoft for not selling, and you're upset at
listen,
Nintendo
it's
for not
not just
selling.
that. Nintendo, listen, Nintendo's going to sell to the grannies. I get it. Okay.
No, they're not just selling to grannies. You don't sell
Ring
85
Fit.
million units to
I
just
think that's
grandma.
great. Hey, listen, I
You
got one
don't
too,
sell
Worry. But
85 million units
I
to
get
just
it.
grandma.
I get it. Check this out, Worry.
you're a
Mine's been
granny?
sitting there. I haven't played mine in 6 months.
Okay, that's you. That
I'm
sounds
playing
like a
mine right now.
whataboutism.
Hell yeah.
I'm
That's
sure
just
that there's
you.
lots of people out there that are
Whataboutism.
having that same issue, right?
No.
Like it's the same
I
with the Wii.
whataboutisms, by the way.
With the
Yeah.
Wii, though, with the Wii, by the way, right? Like that was another thing.
Great
Like people,
games on the
a
Switch.
lot of
Some
people.
of the best first-party games, third-party games on the Switch. Unbelievable
What
system.
games?
One of the best system. I'm playing Atelier Ryzen 2 right now, and it's
I never even heard of
I'm,
it.
I'm playing Bravely Default 2
That's
right
because
now. And
you
it's
don't play
absolute
games,
fire.
crap.
I love it.
I don't play great.
Dreamcast guy, wait, is Bravely Default really good?
It's
Bravely
absolutely
Default
amazing.
is
It's
great.
blowing. It's literally blowing my
Jeez,
mind.
man.
Oh my god, I gotta play that.
So
I
wait,
gotta
so-
get it.
good.
I was
so
on
wait,
my
so
god.
Worry-
Thank you, Dreamcast
Lord
guy.
help us.
Worry said he
Okay.
wanted. Worry, let's hear. I heard DC. I want to hear. What's your take when you saw this? What made you say you have to buy it?
So for me, 4K on a
I'm
7-inch 4K. Let me know when you're ready, crap. I
Go
can
ahead,
go.
man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
4K on a 7-inch screen doesn't make any sense, but an OLED 7-inch handheld does. It's going to look incredible. Number 2, the dock has a wired LAN port now. Number 3, the development kit for the new OLED Switch is different than the development kit for the Switch. So the consensus right now is that the system may have more power, hence the new development kit. We don't know yet. That's just speculation. When you add all of that together with their stellar, I'm talking stellar games on the Nintendo Switch. If you're a gamer, if you're
Speak,
somebody that
bro.
plays sales, if you're somebody that plays the sales game,
Oh.
then maybe you would love it because it's at 85 million units sold. But if you're a gamer, the Switch is absolutely incredible. The OLED, I can't wait to play. I love it. Go Mario, go Zelda. And
Talk about those 43 million copies of Zelda that sold on that
Listen,
system.
Yeah.
listen.
Well,
I
so-
bought all. I
Breath of the
bought a
Wild,
million.
the most overrated game I've ever seen in my
Hey,
God.
goddamn
guess
life.
what? And guess what? It sold 43 million. Guess
Hey,
what? They
man,
also,
more power to it,
and
man.
guess what? They repackaged Mario Kart 8.
Exactly.
And they sold 30-something million of that.
Hey,
So,
more power
let's
to
go.
it, man. More power. That's what's so great about capitalism, folks.
I'll tell you
Only
the-
in
grandma,
America.
The larger.
Only
I wish the
America.
screen
grandma.
was.
Just
I wish the
grandma
screen
for
was
40
even.
million.
I wish the screen
I-
was just even a little bit bigger. Go ahead, Brap.
Can I chime in real quick?
No.
Only,
No,
only
I
it's,
just-
it's
I-
pro
Crap's gonna
capitalism.
yell
I,
at you.
I,
but
I
go
just
ahead,
wanna-
Joe,
I
dude.
just want to point. I just want to point something. Like Dreamcast guy like put out a great video about the OLED, and
You
you know,
always put out
Dreamcast guy. I
great
think
videos.
you were. I
This
think
is
you
true.
were. I think you were kind of disappointed, right?
Yeah,
more
I
or
wanted
less.
a little
But
bit more.
everybody was disappointed.
But you know what's interesting that you said, Dreamcast guy. Even though you're disappointed, you're still gonna buy this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I'm a
this
dumb
is,
slut.
and this
I mean,
is-
I'll tell you.
dude, and this is where Nintendo, for whatever reason, I'm buying
Great
one
game.
because I'm buying one because my kids hijacked my Switch. My 7-year-old has a Switch Lite, and I'm like, I need my own Switch now, because my 11-year-old's hijacked my Switch. But
Black and white looks
to-
better.
But,
so
but to your point, you guys, guy, like
That's why it's gonna
like
sell,
they're not dumb. Like they know we might complain about the right people complain about like you weren't a big fan of the announcement. You're still gonna go out and buy it, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna go out and buy it. People are gonna trade their Nintendo Switches in for the new OLED. This is very similar to what they did with the Game Boy, the different colors that they used to put out. But the other thing too, I do think that maybe this announcement sets Nintendo up because at some point you have to imagine they're gonna have to, if they want that third party support, they're
No.
gonna have to upgrade the hardware at some point.
No.
Already
So
had
can I-
me.
I
They
I'm
don't
sorry.
have to.
I
They
had
never
to
have.
jump in here.
All right,
I am
the great slow-mo
completely
back slap
unaware.
is here.
Let me
Slow-mo's
finish
here.
here, slow-mo.
But I
Wait,
could
hold on.
not take it.
Slow-mo, I
Y'all are
missed
some
you.
certified capologists out here. I cannot believe what you just heard.
Wait,
I
slow-mo.
cannot
Let me finish.
believe y'all are acting
me
like
finish.
in 2021 that 720p is okay.
Uh-oh.
Worry,
Sorry,
I
can I
heard
finish?
you say
Oh.
that. I cannot
What?
believe you
Slow-mo.
said that.
Well, then,
You might
let-
be on on something?
On a
I don't know.
7-inch screen,
Are you
it
on
doesn't matter.
medication? I'm not
On a
sure.
7-inch screen, it doesn't
Wait, hold
matter.
on.
Can I
Before y'all
finish real
get-
quick?
Wait,
Let me
before
finish.
goes, I'm gonna let you finish. Let me-
Podcast, Mooch, what's going on? God damn it.
I'm trying here, guys.
Well, go ahead. Before you
Trying.
say anything else, Slow-Mo, go ahead. Let Brad finish because I want to say something. But go ahead, Brad.
I just want to say something before Slow-Mo chimes in. And what's up, Slow-Mo? By the way, we found Devontae on Wednesday.
I know that we found him. You know,
we
thank
did.
God we found him.
Brad,
You know,
finish
he's
your
been lost
point for the
so
love
long.
of God.
Here's my point real quick. Sorry. All right. So real quick. So my point is, I do think this sets Nintendo up. I think they're going to come out with a Switch Pro in 2022 because I think at some point, if they want that third party
It's very possible.
support, they're going to have to upgrade the hardware at some point. They have to.
They will have to, and I think that's what when Rory was
Okay, be
talking
quiet,
about
Momo.
new dev kits. Don't tell me to be quiet.
No,
Who's
I'm
talking?
trying to plug something. Hey, everybody, shameless plug. DPS podcast every Thursday.
Well,
This
why are you
conversation-
interrupting him? Let the man talk, Forte.
This conversation was had yesterday. So if you want to hear the more in-depth version of this crazy conversation he about to bring,
wow.
check it out tomorrow. Check it out from last night. But Slow-Mo,
Well,
go ahead.
tomorrow.
Go ahead. Well, check it out from last night. Go ahead and let these people know how crazy you really are when it comes to Nintendo.
I'm crazy.
Yes, you
I
are.
think y'all said the 720p
I
is
didn't say that.
okay in
I didn't-
2021.
Listen, I don't
But on
agree
a
I'm
with
small
crazy.
screen, it's fine though. On a
Is
small
this
screen,
the
it's fine.
Twilight
Well, go ahead.
Zone?
Go.
I did
Slow-mo,
Is
get
this
On a small screen,
down?
it's not
I
deal
don't get
killer.
it.
Come on, man.
I
All right,
don't
let's
get
let
it.
Small
Slow-mo
screen's not
let
that big
Slow-mo
a
get his
deal.
piece
I
in.
don't care if it's a small screen. And first of all, you
Come
already
for
know
Slow-mo.
based upon the same hardware that we have already seen, because the Tegra chip has not changed. So this hardware we already know on handheld mode did not hit 720p for the majority of the games that you play.
True.
So what do you talk about 720p? What you're gonna get is OLED 480.
Well,
480.
so I want to say that actually. So
People
I
still
owned,
bought the system, even though it wasn't 720p. It
Well, so
doesn't
I-
matter when you're talking about these Nintendo games and Nintendo. 85 million people own a Switch, and it's sub 720p. And your argument is because it's not 720p, it's not going to be successful. You can't
I know-
apply
I did
the
not say
logic
that.
of Xbox.
I
I'm
know
a
it's going to
big,
be
big,
successful because there's a bunch of Nintendrons out there that are going to buy anything they make.
No,
I'm a
it's
big,
not just Nintendo.
cardboard
They're
and
selling
people will
85
buy
million
it.
units. It's not just Nintendo fans that are hyper sensitive and fanatical that are selling 85 million units. People don't care about this stuff the way that you're bringing it up, the way that we talk about
That's
it.
interesting.
This-
Worry, and I'm interrupting you only because Slow-mo, the thing is, you're a numbers guy as well. And when it comes down
Right.
to it, there's nothing on the Switch that's graphically that impressive that you're
No.
like, I have to see it in 4K with a monocle, right? I mean, this is.
They try to do games that would be graphically impressive if it wasn't on the Switch. See, like it's not graphically impressive on the Switch because the hardware can't do it. So they're not even going to attempt
Because
to
their
be
Okay.
graphically
games
impressive
they
on
only-
hardware that can't handle that.
I think
because
Zelda
their
looks
game- their game-
fantastic on my 4K
Yeah.
television.
Yeah, but
well, so-
the games are also not
Very.
very demanding per se, right? Like Zelda's not a very demanding game.
It looks
probably.
They intentionally
phenomenal.
making
But it
it
looks
make it
great,
not
though.
demanding.
but it looks
Nit-
but it looks great. But it
Nintendo
looks great
makes
though. It
their-
works.
Nintendo makes
Hey.
their platform games for the they make their platform for their games, man. That's why
For their own
they-
first party game.
they
Like,
only
they
need
also-
their games to be as good
4K.
as they need to be for the first party.
Before
So
their
here-
games
okay.
are also very solid in terms of gameplay mechanics.
That's all that matters.
And the mechanic, like Nintendo has some of the best gameplay like mechanics in gaming. Period.
I know Slow-mo
They-
would
they
know that
really
if he actually
do.
played Nintendo
They
games.
really- Well, he doesn't play.
No,
He's
they don't.
Slow-mo's like the guy that
No,
never
it's
went to
the-
McDonald's and wants to comment on the burger.
My
You
God.
know,
He
Yeah,
likes
McDonald's.
to, he
They
likes
make
to
the best games.
no.
These are the same
Slow-mo-
people that'll tell you Breath of the Wild was a groundbreaking open world game, and that every game that does anything remotely close to what Breath of the Wild does, they copied it from Breath of the
Breath of
Wild.
the Wild
This
was
is-
a-
Breath of other games
I'm going-
had those
Wild was-
features before Breath of the Wild. I mean, like
Yes,
I act
but
like
for the-
it
but for
was
the
the
Zelda-
first open world game ever, and
but
it's not.
for the Zelda franchise, it was kind of groundbreaking.
Who gives a shit
Well, so-
about the
No,
Zelda
no,
franchise?
no, no,
I don't
no,
care
no,
about the
no,
Zelda
no,
franchise.
Slow-mo,
You
People
talk about the Zelda
actually
franchise.
argue over
Oh my
fucking
God.
Nintendo shit, man. Little cartoon.
Well, hold on.
Well,
So,
it's the
Like, I don't know.
shout out
Zelda,
to the.
so therefore
Can't even
everyone
play
else
online with
copying
this
Zelda
shit, man.
now.
Hey, buddy, what's your friend's code in 2021? My friend's code is this. Let's go play together. Come on,
Man,
get outta
I
here.
thought this
Who
was a
gives shit?
gamers podcast. Wow.
Worry's confused here.
Yo, Worry,
Jumped in because I couldn't take the Nintendo.
I think Worry's like I made a wrong turn. Optimus Code here, the great Optimus Code, in reverse order. We're talking about Nintendo. He says it's false that us Nintendo fans will buy anything Nintendo puts out. He goes, Wii U, anyone? Nintendo forever. Switch OLED forever. Shout out to Optimus Code.
The Wii U.
They would have bought the Wii U if they realized it was an actual new console.
But at a point in time when Wii U had about 10 million consoles out there, like when a new first party like Mario or something came out, like it sold like 25 million copies. That is pretty rabid right there, where like people were buying multiple like copies of the game for some reason. I don't know.
I want to throw out something super quick before we move on from
DC.
Switch. So I've talked to some people and they think that we haven't seen the FCC filings yet of this new Switch. I think the Switch is not going to have any additional power in it, but I have a feeling that the port, the dock itself, I have a feeling it has USB 2.0, so it's 4K capable. So I have a feeling that what's going to happen is in 2022 they're going to finally say, yes, we have a Switch Pro. It's going to be bigger and better. And guess what? You already have the dock for it. Just buy the system. And I think same size, same shape. It's just going to have better graphics, and you're going to put it in your existing.
And the price could be lower too. Yeah,
the price could be lower. Right.
I got hold on. I'm Dreamcast guy, but what if you don't have a Switch and you want that?
Well, and that's what they'll do is they'll sell both bundles the way they did in Japan. In Japan right now they sell just Switches without the dock, and here in America you can buy a replacement dock for $80. So I have a feeling they're going to keep selling these, and they're already, if you look at marketing, they've already said you can buy just this dock on its own. I feel like there's a point to that. There's no reason they would just sell you the dock unless it had a purpose that's going to extend beyond it.
I
got a question.
These people out here.
I got a question for Dreamcast guy. Dreamcast guy, do you think that maybe the plan, obviously we know about the chip shortage and everything going on right now. Do you think that the intent was to release a 4K version this year, but because of the chip shortage and everything, they realized, you know what, we can't do it. We could do OLEDs. Maybe that's it's easier to get per se, and we'll push it out to 2022.
Talking to the people I'm talking to, I don't think that's the case. I think what happened is that there's confusion with the marketing, but I have a feeling they started working on a 4K Switch and it just got so advanced while they're experimenting with it, because the Nintendo labs always tinker with all sorts of different stuff, including garbage like Labo is just cooked up. I have a feeling that they're working on a Switch too. So I have a feeling that they're going to make a 4K Switch next year, but I have a feeling they're working on the Switch 2, and some of these leaks are talking about that, because I have a feeling the successor to the Switch, I feel like, is just going to be another Switch because this thing is just so successful. You want to make sure that it still uses everything that's compatible. But I do have a feeling that this is just like right now, they're not exactly in a hurry. So they weren't trying to force it out if it wasn't cheap and ready.
I want to go in reverse order here just because as we go backwards towards the super chats, we're getting back to older topics, which we'll hit as we go on the outros and we head out towards the end of the show. But Yoba1245, by the way, shout out to the great Jeff Grubb who's here. Jeff, you love these. So Jeff is a great sport when it comes to, he says, according to Jeff Grubb, who's become the new source, he's saying, trust me, bro. So, Jeff, I don't know if you know that, but your new slogan is just trust me, bro. So shout out to the great Jeff Grubb.
Did you hear Xbox Live Gold is going away? Free.
Listen, if any, Jeff, whatever Jeff says gets put in the print. He said that here. He said that here
calm
first.
Down on the Jeff Grubb slander, because he
that's what I'm saying.
He had said things correctly.
I agree with you, Slow Mo.
He was the only one last year saying Mass Effect Legendary Edition was going to be a thing.
That's right.
And then and he even had the name. And
that's
people
right.
was like, shut up, Jeff Grubb. Who is this guy? And then
I'm so glad I don't have social media.
So
that's probably true for you.
Worry.
I just want to say that Jeff Grubb. I just want to say Jeff Grubb has great hair. Like, it's amazing.
And he has a good toilet now.
He's the Aquaman. He's the Aquaman of video games. I think. That's
like
just the way
seriously, Jeff. I wish I had his hair. Like, it's great. Like
this is getting weird.
Yeah, well, listen,
but it's great.
BRAP's paying.
It's great.
BRAP loves the compliments. Shout out to Godzilla. He says people go where the games are. Nintendo has the games despite the hardware. Godzilla is kind of right in that aspect, and I think, and shout out to Lady in the chat. She goes, I think only 2 people on the panel actually play the Switch. I mean, I've got 2 Switches in the house, but Lady, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm playing it now.
I
don't play it often. I don't play it often, and and I don't know why I don't play it more often. I should.
There's no achievements or trophies.
That's part. That is
Oh, yeah,
some
because
of
I
it.
make
that is
great
some of
games.
it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I know you.
Did you
Mooch,
never play
trust me.
games before the 80s or something?
I
don't know
did,
what
but the problem is sometimes
problem
you're
is,
like,
you're
it's not
crazy.
the
That's
80s
the
anymore,
problem.
though, bro.
listen, like you can kind of get an idea. Like I
The
first
problem
started getting.
is you're nuts. That's
Well,
the
no,
problem.
no. Listen, I first kind of got the idea where you can kind of go back.
Move
You said- you
on.
said
You can go back and play things, right?
The
It
problem
gives
is
it
you
gives
are
a little
nuts.
bit more. No, listen, there gives you a little bit more of a
Nuts.
reason to go back to games. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
You know,
well, listen, I can
wor-
only give
hey,
my point of
Crap,
view on it.
Crap,
I
Worry-
I'm the same way.
Worry said the
play
same.
Nintendo games
At least
because of
Worry's being
that.
consistent. He said we were crazy back in the day as well. So I mean,
Yes,
this is fine,
yes,
right? And
yes.
he's
Well,
always
he's been the Sony Nintendo guy.
he is
Yeah.
Still, all these
absolutely.
years later.
Shout out to.
And I just want to say
Oh,
real
go ahead,
quick.
Slow-mo.
I used to own a Switch. I
Yes.
sold it, but in 2019,
Yes.
it was
You're
probably
fraud.
my most played platform in 2019. So and anyone's just like, maybe Slow-Mo's just hating on the Switch. No,
You are hating on the Switch.
Was that Fire
I'm
Emblem?
not hating.
Oh, he loved Fire Emblem.
I am not. I was not satisfied with the platform, so I
that's
let
fine.
it go. I gave it to someone else who would have better
Enjoy
use for it, and,
Yeah.
and they probably
Literally-
have bad vision, so they don't really care about the
You
visuals
literally
like that.
played 3 games on the system and nothing else.
Say what? Excuse me, Forte.
You literally played 3 games on the system, and none of them were first party Nintendo.
Hey,
games.
slow-mo.
Exactly, and they were awesome.
Slow-mo.
I think Fire Emblem Three Houses was my game of the year that year.
I knew it was
Slow-mo.
Fire Emblem, bro. I knew it, man.
Slow-mo.
Yes.
You need to
Funny.
check out my Luigi's Mansion 3 video. It's in 4K on my channel. The game looks amazing. Absolutely
Luigi's
incredible.
Mansion
Is that
does look
off
good.
an emulator on PC?
No, it's first party. He
Nope.
ain't gonna
First
play it.
party.
Mm-mm.
No,
First
okay.
party.
I didn't know where you play on the.
I'll tell you what, Luigi Mansion.
I don't even know what a PC is.
Luigi Mansion. Well, Worry, it's the best place to play video games, but
The P and PC
Luigi-
stands for PlayStation.
I
bro.
love Wario.
well, look, Luigi Mansion 3 is actually a pretty damn good game.
It's fantastic.
It is a great
Oh,
game.
I
man, yeah,
lo-
it
I
was.
love
I
it.
remember
It
getting
is.
that with my GameCube years ago when Nintendo
Yeah,
was,
it's great.
was still kind of hardcore.
Let me say.
And, yeah,
sh-
man,
let me
that
say
was
shout out to.
pretty-
Yeah,
Chris-
they had
Beast.
achievements, right? Oh no, never mind.
Yeah.
Let me say,
but
sh-
at
I'm
the
not-
time, but I mean, they,
Oh, I
think
know,
of the
you played
they
back
had some,
then
they had
with
some really
achievements.
good, they
You're
had some really good games.
crazy.
Like didn't
You're
they have some
nuts.
exclusive Resident Evil games? I
Nuts.
mean, they had some
Back in
really
the day, they
hardcore
did.
shit.
Yes, Nintendo. The
Yeah, I
GameCube
think
got
Resident Evil
Resident
Zero,
Evil.
Resident
Yes.
Evil
All right, Mooch,
4.
get to the super chats. I
Well, I'm
can't listen
trying
to
to.
this
Resident
nonsense.
Evil 4.
Shout out to Chris
They actually
Jones in
had
the
some
super
hardcore
chat.
games. I'm hardcore.
All right, hold on, crap. Let me
Maybe
get some of
Brap will
these.
get that.
Let me get to some of
No,
these
no,
super
Brap
chats.
should get that. Hey guys, I'm hardcore. Brap, I'm
He's great.
hardcore.
There you go. It's hardcore
Keep
crap.
screaming it, bro.
I'm hardcore.
I can hear that from.
Guys,
I can
come
see
on,
that as a
I'm
new
hardcore.
slogan on Twitter. I like it.
Yes.
The
it
great
is.
Sir X-Man says Breath of the
It's not
Wild looked
premium,
better
it's
on
not
the
Retro
Wii U.
anymore.
So I don't know
Did you
about
let
that.
him
Sir
read
X-Man.
the super chat?
I'm trying.
Yes,
I'm trying.
I'm
Well, see,
having
crap
fun.
leaves at 9. That's why the show goes till 10. He talks till 10, and then I gotta keep going.
I have no idea what he
it's
said.
not even
Brap hardcore. I don't
funny.
know what that means. I don't know what
Sir
that means.
X-Man. I think Sir X-Man might. Sir X-Man might
Mick
sip him
Foley,
back
dude,
on.
when he was in ECW.
All right, guys. Let me get this show.
Oh
going.
yes,
Hey,
thank you,
thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
The great Sir
Yeah,
X-Man
by
says.
the way, Alistair Black.
Oh, jeez.
Crap.
Oh
You
my
know,
God,
it-
let's
my
get
God.
to
It
the
is-
super chats, guys.
It is extremely.
He still
Listen.
got the fuck up eye.
Can
I-
everyone please be
Back when I
quiet?
first-
Let him read the
Back when I
super
first
chats, please.
podcast, I heard it was very rude to hit the mute button on people, but it's getting close. It's getting real
Do
close
it.
to the
Mute
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 button.
us all.
Everyone's getting
Do
muted.
it.
The great Sir X-Man says Breath of the Wild looks better on the Wii U. Facts. I think Sir X-Man's sipping on Granddad's old cough medicine as we
Yeah,
speak.
that's insane.
That's not true, Sir X-Man. You know that, Sir X-Man. Godzilla says it's all this chaos. I love it. So shout out to Godzilla. I appreciate that. Want to go back here a bit. I apologize. Viper XT says $20 for the expansion. Now we're going back a few subjects here, folks. So $20 for the expansion is fine, but paying your $10 to use the features of the PS5 you paid for when you bought the system, controller, and headset. What's next? A $25 charge to use the SSD slot. So Viper not very happy, and that was what Bomber was kind of alluding to earlier as well. Resting Craigface says, "Who's yelling? Literally, I can't tell." Resting Craigface, neither could I. Neither could I. So shout out to Resting Craigface, which is a fantastic name. Shalane, thank you for the $10 super chat. No comment at all, but he's a Mooch Maniac family member. I truly appreciate it. Monkey Power says, "This show don't feel even feels for," this is what it says, I swear, PlayStation versus one Xbox guy. Let's get 2 more Xbox guys. So Monkey Power, basically what I'm going to do is reword your what you were saying. He's saying we need more Xbox representation.
Who's the one
Representation.
Xbox guy?
I think he's talking about Xbox 448.
Oh,
So
Preposterous.
here, I'll be the token Xbox guy. Xbox is amazing. Screw all y'all in the place.
Thank you, Bomber.
Let me channel me from 2014. Xbox is the best box, bitches. Yeah, let's go.
That's the
I
man
can't
right
I'm
there.
hardcore.
Lucifer says Nintendo charges $60 for a Wii U port with tons of extra content, and work had to be put into that content, but people complain about that too. So Lou Silver, outstanding point on that. Chris Jones, who had to leave early. Shout out to Chris Jones and the family. He says, "Where's the great Mooch food comparisons? I tried to make a few." He says they're great.
Shitty McDonald's one.
I let. Well, that
What
was.
do you want?
I let BRAP take a food
That
one
was
once.
BRAP. I was
That was
gonna
fine.
say,
Hey, you know what? I'm not.
It's okay,
come on,
Brad.
I'm not,
I
I'm not-
appreciate a
that's
good
not
food
That's not
analogy.
my forte.
My
That's not my
forte.
forte.
My
got
forte.
you.
Monkey Power says, for fun, we'll. Oh, we already did that one. I apologize. The Great Sin Vendetta, I hope he's still with us here. He says, Mooch, all I want to say is if Xbox can get a 60 FPS boost for Dark Souls 3 on Xbox, then PlayStation can get a 60 frame patch for Bloodborne. Great podcast, panel, and fantastic discussions. The Great Sin Vendetta. You know, that's something that, and I don't know, I'm looking, just perusing down the panel here, and I don't see anybody on the panel that actually is a huge Bloodborne fan. So I don't know. I mean, I am.
I genuinely.
Yes,
I
I am. Platinum here.
Oh, that's
Hello?
right. I'm sorry, BRAP. DC, did you say you were?
Yeah, I straight up played so much of it, but I'm also just in general, I'm real big From Software fan. But I feel like part of the reason people don't talk about it more is because there hasn't been any talk of Bloodborne 2 or remastered or updates, so it's hard to keep that torch burning. But I hope
Director's Cut's
we
coming
get
soon.
something back for it. You know.
Well, let me ask you this then. DC, I'll go to you because I know, BRAP, you're probably intrigued by this question as well. DC, do you think that it's a From Software issue, or is it Sony has an approach From Software to get this done?
I bet it's a little bit of both, but I feel like it's probably more on Sony's side because, I mean, it's just been so many years at this point. I feel like Sony doesn't even consider like, hey, should we go back to From Software who keeps dropping these bangers and beg them to remaster it for us or do some sort of $10 update patch or something? Because let's face it, we'd pay for it. If they asked and they put out a $10 update patch, I'd pay for 60 FPS. I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean,
$100 for 60 FPS.
and see and that kind of goes back to the whole thing again, right? This full circle.
Hardcore if you pay for that.
Because now people,
I would. I mean, I would totally pay. I mean, I would. I'm not gonna lie, I would.
I thought we said that,
They're hardcore though.
but that would
amazing.
piss off. But now Forte, that would piss you off though if you were a Souls fanatic, right? You would not pay the
Well,
extra.
Forte's he's not good at Souls games, so he doesn't.
But let's say he was. Let's just say he was.
not.
Or Slow-Mo,
He's not.
would you pay an extra $10 for the 60 frame Bloodborne?
I've never played a From Software game and have zero desire to. So. Nah,
They're good, man.
I
They're real
wouldn't. I
good.
wouldn't pay $1 for it. So I mean, like
I
that's
try. I'm just so bad
here's
at
the
them.
thing Is that it's price is relative, value is relative. You know, like
Thank
there's
you
some
for
people
saying
who love
Like
fighting
McDonald's.
games. I hate. Well, I don't think that's relative, but I mean, you know, if you like, you know,
Bojangles.
going to the toilet, you know, 5 minutes after you eat it, sure, then you know it'll have a higher value with McDonald's to you. But I mean, when it comes to games, it's really all about how you value the game, the quality of the game, and the genre. And even though there are like some, for example, fighting games, some are better than others, but it could be the best fighting game in the world. I don't want to play it because it's a fighting game. Whereas first-person shooters, let me at them. That's the kind of stuff I'm into, but someone else might not be. So I'm just, I don't really care about Bloodborne, but I know a lot of people, a lot of friends that love it.
I
So
don't give a fuck about Bloodborne.
I love it.
But
dude.
you're
It's so good.
hardcore.
I'm hardcore.
Yeah, you can't be
I
hardcore.
just don't give a fuck about
You
that.
just
shit,
gotta
man.
lie about it. Crap, say you love it. It's great.
Hey, Bloodborne has
Kids
trophies.
running
crap,
at
I love it.
22 frames per second ain't my thing.
I'm not
They have
paying
trophies
for,
on an online system.
I'm not
too.
paying.
I would
I'm
not
paying
pay
for an
for-
update. I'm
yeah,
not paying for that.
I
Can't
don't
do
care.
it.
Yeah, I don't care how
shout
hardcore I
out
am.
to Carlos
But
Crespin.
don't
He says,
mistake it, I am hardcore.
Yeah,
and I
I
appreciate
got a question
Carlos.
for you, Forte.
Go ahead,
Mooch, real
Slomo.
quick.
Go ahead.
If you had to pay
Hey,
for an
Mooch, super
upgrade,
chats, by
play
the way.
Destiny
Try.
at 60 frames per second, you would buy a whole console for that, right?
Wait, repeat that again, Slow-Mo?
The silence. I love it. The silence.
I said Forte would buy an entire console to play Destiny at 60 frames per second.
But see that,
Wow.
but that's different
But-
because,
yeah, but what-
because it's hardware. No,
spent
because it's
$500.
hardware. No, it's
Come on.
hardware.
Now, if there was
No.
ever a
Hardware.
whataboutism, that's it.
No, that's
Oh, my
hardware, sir. That's hardware. It's not buying the same
What
game.
about?
No, no, let me ask you-
It was
No, no, it ain't no
hardware.
what
It was
about.
hardware.
It ain't
to-
about no what about
you
because I didn't
spent
have to rebuy the game. I already
Xbox,
had
you should
the
be all
game.
over him. Come on.
Nope,
You
I
spent
already had the game.
$500 to play that game at 60 frames per second.
And guess what? I also bought a 2080 Super to actually play it better on my PC. So what's
Isn't
the
this
difference?
show
I already
over
had
at
the
9
game.
o'clock?
Well, you know, sometimes worry. It depends.
Super chats, Mooch.
9 o'clock. What though?
You
9 o'clock
can't-
Central.
can't-
9 o'clock
Can't
Central
put me
time.
in a
Yeah.
box, sir.
Yeah, we got another hour of this.
No.
Super chat.
Right. Damn.
Super
Hold on,
chats.
sorry about that, guys. Carlos Crespin, I appreciate the
We got some
$2.
hardcore super chats.
Not
Good
going to
man.
read that last one, but I appreciate that, Carlos. Thank you. Sir X-Man
Hardcore
says,
super chat.
since Battlefield is cross-play, I'm getting it for PC, says Sir X-Man. Battlefield in triple screen on PC is awesome. Sir X-Man loving his PC. That new PC's got Sir X-Man all kinds of dizzy.
PC, PlayStation console.
Right.
Yeah.
Monkey Power says Game Pass may have old games, but to someone like me, broke gamer, it's amazing. I finally got to play Doom Eternal, absolutely killer game. Wow. Monkey Power, I agree with you. I mean, the Doom Eternal is a fantastic game. I think this,
great. That's great for you, man. I'm happy. that
It's not for-
that's
Game
a
Pass is not
perfectly
for
good
everybody.
reason. Yeah, it's not. It's not. But for him, he makes a hell of an argument for why
Him.
Game Pass is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes an
I
argument
would
for him.
never debate that. Well, again, whenever I say something, it's my own fucking opinion. I don't, it doesn't have
Right.
to. It doesn't have to. I don't speak for anybody else but myself.
This is
So,
true.
like, I think it's the same thing for everybody. So, yeah, if that's great for him and it works for him, good.
Yep, absolutely.
sounds
The great.
pretty-
Well, here's one.
you know,
Here's
like
someone that
he's gonna
agrees with you.
figure it out,
Sid.
man.
The great Sid Vendetta comes back and says, "Oh wow, I have never agreed with crap more than about Nintendo not having their own achievement trophy system." So the great Sid
perfect.
Vendetta
Oh,
agrees with
yes.
crap.
Oh yes, I will. I play fucking my Vita
Yeah.
more
The
than my
Xbox
Nintendo,
and the
man.
PlayStation
Come
1
on,
and the
man.
PlayStation 2, they were terrible systems, man.
Oh
Horrible.
hell no! But
Horrible.
we can go back and I wouldn't go back
Terrible.
and play.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I wouldn't
you're
go back
right.
and
Oh, my
play those
God, I know.
games.
Terrible. Crazy.
A
All right, move on.
Mooch Maniac family member Sergeant Salty Nuts. He comes in. He says OLED won't look incredible. You'll just notice slightly better black levels. An OLED will give you that. That's true. And Sergeant Salty Nuts comes back and says only decent IP is Zelda. Everything else is childish. You know, Salty Nuts. I got to tell you,
It's
I
just
don't.
insanity.
Well,
It's just
That's
insanity.
crazy.
Well, this
I
is
was already
definitely
playing
not
Nintendo games on
childish.
an OLED, so
Just insanity.
this is the internet for you, Worry. Welcome back.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't have social media.
Welcome back to
People are
the.
nuts.
Welcome back to this. Jeff, who's in the chat, he says, this is not Jeff Grubb, by the way, this is a different individual. Jeff says, can we hold Nintendo to the same standards that everyone wants from Sony?
No, why would we? It's a
Yeah,
different
it's
company.
Not necessarily
Different
the
history,
same
different
thing
game.
there, yeah. No,
Different
I agree.
strategy.
one of them's hardcore, one of them's not.
My God.
Nintendo.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Dreamcast guy with the uh-oh from long distance.
I love you guys,
I
guys.
love it, too. I love it. Shout out to Basement Radio Arcade Podcast in two places at the same time. He says Slow-Mo plays games, Forte doesn't. Oh, that hurts.
Oh.
Forte, that hurts.
Oh.
I would not.
100,000. I have 100,000 gamer score, sir. So I
Uh-oh.
don't play games.
There it is, Brap.
Is that all?
Yeah, right. I was like, oh, we go from lowest to
jeez.
highest. Is this
Here we
golf?
go.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
his kids are responsible for that, by the way.
I didn't even have kids when most of this gamer score was here, sir. No,
Well,
no
here's a
problem.
non-gaming question from Lady
You can't- you
AF,
fake
and I'm
kids
glad
in
she
the
throws a
neighborhood.
little curveball. She says, "Is pie better than cake?"
Yes.
Yes.
I love pie.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All
You know,
forms
maybe.
of pie is better than cake.
What kind of?
Well,
Well,
don't do it.
slow-mo,
Don't
Are we really talking
slow-mo,
about food
Don't do
here?
it.
slow-mo.
Don't
You're
do it.
slow-mo's got his
I'm
mind.
I'm just saying. I think I
listen.
like cake.
Is it cake by the ocean you're talking about, slow-mo? I don't know what you're
No,
discussing.
pie,
Yes.
I'm talking about
pie,
something
pie.
completely different.
Pie
And
is
maybe I need to
better.
go
I
upstairs.
I need to go.
love pie.
Dear
I don't know about
slow-mo,
you,
I need to go
love pie.
upstairs.
Cheesecake.
No, I love
Cheesecake,
pie.
yeah.
Pie, pie.
Yeah, Brap
Sweet
likes
potato
beefcake.
What are we talking about
Oh
here?
man, lady,
No,
thank you for that.
Every time I watch Dreamcast videos, beefcake.
Oh, the
Yeah,
great Jeff Grubb. He says cake. The great Jeff
All right.
Grubb.
I'm
If you,
Absolutely.
he's paying for that opinion.
All right.
By the way, I love you,
Likes
Jeff
the
Grubb.
Last Jedi.
Crap. What'd you
See,
say?
I like pie because back in the day, pie didn't have any achievements, and today they don't have any, and I still like
I
pie.
still like pie.
Still on that.
Mooch, what is hair pie? Someone said hair pie. What is
Oh,
I don't know
jeez.
what
Brad,
that is. What is that?
Enrique,
Brad,
we need to
listen,
explain
I
that
can't put a
to,
rating. I
uh,
can't put a rating on the show, so it's.
You guys-
that? Answer the
spell that out
question.
for
I don't
you.
know.
What are we about here?
Oh my
Forte.
God.
Mooch is the food guy. I
That's
don't
not.
know.
It is
terrible.
well. That's not a food.
I mean, you eat it. Right?
When we go get ice cream later on, we'll
Oh.
explain it to you.
Oh, my-
All right.
Wait,
So
real
listen,
quick, Mooch, Mooch, can I
Yes.
say something real quick?
Yes, please.
I want to give a big shout out to Adrian Lopez. I know what kind of pie you're talking about, buddy.
I didn't see Adrian Lopez. Oh, there he is. Okay, he threw out. Okay,
I know exactly what kind of pie he's talking about.
I want to blame
ahead,
Lady AF for this. This is all Lady's fault.
I think she knew what she was doing.
She knew exactly what she was
She
doing.
knew exactly what she was doing.
She knows exactly what's going on. Shout out to Jeff again. This is not Jeff Grubb, the other Jeff. We don't have to call him other Jeff. Again, with the Nintendo is an anomaly that people like to use. Stop giving them a pass just because they were your childhood console. Jeff's not having it.
Jeff, go sit on your new toilet.
That's not the same Jeff.
Oh, different Jeff?
This is
Okay.
the difference. This is other Jeff. There's Jeff. Whenever I say Jeff Grubb, it's Jeff Grubb. This is the other Jeff.
Right.
Jeff,
the
go
other-
sit on Jeff Grubb's new toilet.
There you go.
go
Thank
sit
you,
on- that's what I
Xbot.
meant. Thanks, Xbot.
There
Thank
you go. Xbot cleared it all up.
That's what I meant.
The Joseph in the
Jeff
chat, he
Grubb
says,
knows
man, I
Nintendo's
love
great."
Mooch's podcast and his guests. They are all very lively. We try to keep Friday. It's Friday night, guys. Whether you worked a long week, whether you worked a short week, we just try
I
to get the
know.
gaming
Gotta
weekend
work
kicked
all
off.
weekend.
And I-
by the way.
Shout out to Jamie, too. Jamie's a new Mooch Maniac family member. So, Jamie, thank you for joining the channel. I truly appreciate that. Guys, that's a join button right above that description. But, guys, let me do this. We will. Jeff Grubb goes LOL. We'll end this on a high note. Thanks to Lady's latest super chat. Let me just go in reverse order here. And I don't remember. I think the latest person to come in was the great Slow-Mo Backslap. And believe me, did
Yes.
Slow-Mo throw a little gasoline on the crossfire. Slow-Mo, glad you could join us. And you know the door is always open, buddy. Whenever you want to come in, just knock on the door. You're always welcome. Slow-Mo, let people know where they can find you. And appreciate you popping in tonight.
Hey, no problem. I just, I knew it was pretty lively already. I was listening while I was cooking dinner, and I just said, why don't I just jump in and throw a grenade in the room and see what happens? So yeah, but hey, I had a lot of fun, of course. You guys can check me out on my channel, Slow-Mo Backslap, and my Twitter account of the same name, and check out DPS Podcast next Thursday on Forte's channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, as well as Scumcast tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Ash and Lucas channel. And peace out.
Appreciate that, Slow-Mo. Thank you very much. Shout out to Lady AF, by the way. She goes, you should have invited me. Lady AF, I am telling you right now, no, regardless of the time zones that we were talking about earlier when I DM'd you, you have to get back on the show. So, Lady, I'm hoping you'll join us next week or the week after whenever you're available. We'll discuss that offline. But let me go here. Our next Xbot 448. I believe Xbot popped in. As soon I heard some sort of jet landing outside the house. I wasn't sure what the hell that was. Xbot, I appreciate you being here tonight, buddy. Love the energy. I know you worked and then came here and still had enough to give it out to the audience and the panel. Buddy, let people know they can find you, and I appreciate you always making it on your work night.
Yeah, no doubt, brother. It was fun, man. Coming in and kind of setting the fire before Slow-Mo came in and dropped the grenade. So there was a lot of explosions going on tonight. But yeah, you can find me at my YouTube channel as well, which is Xbot448. It is the home of the next podcast. It is I'll say it's an interesting show. You definitely got to check it out if you haven't checked it out. It is the first podcast in this community to go with gameplay every week. So I personally feel we have the best, although the Doom Eternal that I saw tonight on Crossfire was pretty freaking
Buddy,
good
I'm loving
gameplay right there, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Appreciate
love
that.
But yeah, next podcast is every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and everybody knows that is prime time, baby. And not only that, but Series X podcast is also on my channel. It's like every other Sunday with me and Jamie Moran. We haven't done it the past few Sundays. It was my son's graduation, and then 4th of July and stuff like that. But that show is not going anywhere, and we are bringing it back. You know what? Follow me on Twitter at Xbot448, and you'll know exactly when that Xbox podcast will be making its return.
Appreciate that, Xbot, and I always pitch the channel even when you're here or you're not here, buddy. That's how much it means to me, buddy. The next podcast is an outstanding show. Please do go check it out, and it's Xbot448 on YouTube and Twitter. I got my buddy here also. DC, I'm going to say thanks to you, buddy, because, listen, this is what's great about Crossfire. Sometimes it just stays to the script. Sometimes it doesn't. It's the way the show was kind of designed. DC, great to have you here as always. Your input and your take is always valuable. Let people know where they can find you, and hopefully we can't wait for your return back to the show.
Just youtube.com/dreamcastguy. Thanks to being on here. It's been fun. This week, I'm probably going to be doing a big video about the HDification of Skyward Sword. So go to my channel and check that out. I'm sure I'll be playing that because I'm a Nintendo shill, apparently. So I love that game.
It's another slogan you picked up. Games Pass. I love it.
Games
DC.
Pass. Yeah.
Great to have you on, DC, for the full 2+ hours tonight, buddy. Outstanding. Thank you, and enjoy your content. I'm going to go here. I'm just going here and guessing here at this point. I think it was the great Worry Ward 73 who popped in on next. Worry, thanks for being here, buddy. Listen, you're really coming back. You're doing, I saw 2 videos a day, sometimes 1. I don't honestly know how you're doing it with your work schedule, but nonetheless, I want to say this much. Welcome back to YouTube. Outstanding work. Let people know where they can find you. And you always have a seat here on Crossfire, buddy.
Yes, I am at youtube.com/worrywardgaming. I took what Dreamcast Guy just said, youtube.com/ because it sounded really professional, and he has tons of subscribers. So I wanted to sound like I knew what I was talking about. Go there, check it out. I'm so close to 100 subscribers. I know that it's a little channel right now. It would be great to get to 100. I have a Luigi's Mansion 3 video there. And
Let's
tomorrow,
go.
Atelier Ryzen 2, a great game. I'm going to put a video up about that. And that's it.
Let's get it going. I want to get Worry well over 100, buddy. You got to see the effort and the time he puts into it, and he actually cares. This guy loves video games, man. Even when we game, we talk video games. That's what's great about the great Worry
only
Ward.
games with achievements and trophies.
That's
Those are games
correct.
I like.
We will limit it to
right.
that from now on, especially Worry, especially when you're on the show.
Rebuy the game that's been remastered
Yes.
with achievements and
Achievements and
trophies.
trophies.
Yes, if not, I don't give a fuck.
Well, let me say this much. Crap, we know Crap's stance on that, but I'll tell you something. I was talking to HR Bomber before the show, and I said, Bomber, you know what's great about tonight's show? I said, tonight's probably just going to be a smaller panel, and it'll be a little bit more concentrated. And Bomber, I couldn't have been more wrong I think I've been more right on New York Lotto numbers. Bomber, nonetheless, I want to say this much. Well, I really appreciate you being here tonight, first of all. We got to get you back on the show. I know your schedule is definitely hectic, but, Gaming Beyond the Box, I always catch you. I always catch your takes on Twitter. Let people know where they can find you, and I will be pestering you in the DMs to come on the show within the next couple of weeks again.
Oh, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Always enjoyed it. I may not have had too much to say during all
But what you said totally
answer.
riled up the audience, Bomber. Trust me.
I know, right?
I saw your fan in the audience, Bomber. He was like, you got to let Bomber talk more.
That's right.
So make sure
Hey.
you shout that guy out. I forgot who he is, but
Hey, shit, it's fine. Hey, y'all have y'all's fun, and sometimes, hey, it was fun to sit back and just be like, you know what? I'm not in this yet.
Let the world burn.
That's right. But no, of course, appreciate you inviting me as always. Of course, get me DMs. That's all fine. But you can follow me on Twitter if you'd like. It's HRBomber1414. Of course, you can see me every Wednesday night, 8 Eastern, on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy, Fork, and all the wonderful people, including Lady that showed up tonight.
Appreciate that, Bomber. Then I got my buddy here, Gaming Forte, the man who has his ear to the ground. His ear to the ground, the great Gaming Forte. Forte, honestly, thank you for being here, buddy. I know that you work an insane schedule as well, and I know Fridays do happen to be very difficult for you with your work schedule making it here, but it's just beyond outstanding to have you back on the show. It's after a few weeks where you weren't able to make it. Forte, let people know where they can find you, and we eagerly await your return again next week. Hopefully, the great Gaming Forte.
Nah, man, it's a great show, man. A lot of arguing, but what's Crossfire without the arguing? That's how it always goes. But yeah, DPS podcast next week on my channel every Thursday 9 p.m. Check out last night's episode on Slowmo's channel. We had the great Mike Minotti on there. It was a really, really good episode with him. Went over all the stuff that we talked about today.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. That was really fun. Really good guest. And then make sure you follow us on Twitter and everything too at DPS_podcast and myself at Gaming Forte. Pretty much everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation as usual. And sooner or later, you will be able to walk into a store and get a PS5.
It's gonna happen, right, Forte? It will happen.
It will happen.
That's when I'll get one.
The question is, will it happen before? Will it happen before Thanksgiving? That's the question.
Yeah, true.
Because that's kind of up in the air at the point. But enjoy the games that you guys are playing. Scarlet Nexus is the one I'm playing right now. It's
Fantastic
phenomenal.
game. Phenomenal.
And, I am lost and don't know what to do with myself. So find you something to play and enjoy your weekend.
Appreciate that. And then the great Basement Radio Arcade Podcast BRAP, who was absolutely on fire tonight. I mean, the man literally walked into the room lit on fire. BRAP, let people know where they can find you. And thanks for being here this evening.
Look, always a pleasure, Mooch. Love CrossFire. It's like the Friday night happy hour where the boys get together, just sit down and have beers virtually, I guess, or not, and talk video games. But no, it was a great show. And I got to say, Mooch, it's I think this might be the first show where you were kind of like, wait a minute, guys, everyone pipe down. So,
well, we had 9 people on the show, and everybody here is definitely A-type personality. So we had to kind of simmer it back a little.
Kudos to you though, as a great host, man. Like that that was great. But no, seriously, great show. A big shout out to everyone in the live chat, everyone in the panel here. If you want to catch me and Slow-Mo Backslap and Gaming Forte and the voice of reason, Mr. Eric Jackson, and B Money 101 every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Come hang out with us, Basement Radio K Podcast on YouTube. And again, Mooch, always a pleasure. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, BRAP. And then go ahead, Forte.
I just want to say that the only reason me and Slow-Mo didn't shout out BRAP podcast is because we wanted our boss to do it. We don't want.
I'm not your boss, sir. I'm not your boss.
Listen, we don't want
not your boss.
Listen, we don't want you to think that we don't appreciate the show that you put on every week, but we wanted you to shout out your own show. So that's the only reason we didn't say it. So just to let you know
I'm not.
I don't want to be I don't want to be reprimanded.
To be said, Forte.
I don't want to be reprimanded.
Hey, Slow-Mo. Hey, Slow-Mo. By the way, thank you for checking Forte because he's very awkward at many times.
Well, that's because you say you always want to hug me.
Guys,
all right, I'm gonna lose worry. Hold on.
The ice cream store closes at 9:30, so let's hurry up.
He's gonna bring a Switch to it. That's great, Worry. All right, the great Crap Gamer here as well. Crap, you've got so many nicknames. I have to now pencil in hardcore next to right. Absolutely.
I'm a hardcore Xbox fan.
ECW.
I know.
Listen, I love Xbox. I want to thank the fans for taking me back in the fold because I know I've been away a while. But I just want to say, as a hardcore Xbox fan who has a Gears of War tattoo, by the way,
yes,
I paid about $500 for this thing.
Not cheap.
I think that proves that I'm a hardcore Xbox fan. So maybe you guys will accept my forgiveness for turning my back on you guys. I just want to say that I really appreciate all the real ones that stuck with me and through my opinions of Xbox not having games. And as a hardcore Xbox fan, I just want to congratulate everybody for, sticking it out. And now the games will come and the good things will come and, the good shows will come and things like that. And I have a Xbox t-shirt that I ordered, size 3XLT. So it fits just well. You know what I mean?
I want to, we got to see a picture of that on Twitter, Crap.
Hardcore size. You're gonna have to see how good it looks. So if it's good, now I'm not cut as hardcore as good as Phil Spencer, but I'm working on it. I'm down a few lbs, if you know what I'm saying.
You're like Mick Foley.
Yes, I'm hardcore Xbox is what I'm trying to say. So
Great.
I just want to appreciate all the Xbox fans and let you know that I'm with you.
Check this check.
Yes, I'm with you guys, and I just want to say that I appreciate all the love and support as the only hardcore Xbox guy on YouTube.
Yes.
Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it. You will never find a more hardcore Xbox fan than me. So if you guys are looking for a hardcore Xbox channel, look no further. Come check it out. We've got nothing but facts. In fact, we have changed our official slogan from rack 'em up to fact 'em up.
Wow.
And I think that's going to really go in line with my new hardcore Xbox kind of format that we're going with. So be on the lookout for that. And with that being said, we will check you guys out.
Yes.
As a hardcore Xbox fan, I can't wait. Have a brilliant day, and Phil Spencer bless you all. Oh, have a brilliant night.
Have a brilliant
Phil Spencer bless you all.
That's great, Crap. That was almost like, I almost felt like that was like the gamers version of Grace. That was fantastic.
Yes.
That was something.
Xbox.
Wow.
What can I say? See you guys on Sea of Thieves tonight.
I'll see you guys on Sea of Thieves later this evening.
I'm
guys,
hardcore Xbox.
Are we playing Sea of Thieves, by the way?
Why wouldn't we? Listen, let me say this much real quick. I want to say thanks to everybody here. I want to say thanks. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. And again, if you are a VIP Mooch Maniac family member, please hit me up on Twitter at Mooch1978, and I will be sending over some Mooch mugs. Why not? And hopefully you guys will take Twitter pictures and send them out.
I'm hardcore.
That being said, we'll see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to the chat. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Enjoy the weekend, and peace out. We'll see you later.